humans, it's Rob here with Not a Robot Podcast's DC Comics review show number 132, the world's greatest comic show about the world's greatest superheroes. And with me, as always, is Brandon.
Hello, everybody.
And Josh.
Look, up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a... No. It's just a bird.
Those pesky birds looking like planes. Or other things.
Other things that fly, I suppose.
Yeah, like paper planes. and the letter M.
Hot air balloons.
True.
The letter M. Oh, you've been watching.
Did you ever do that in grade school?
Oh yeah.
Or W.
Yeah. I knew exactly what you were talking about. Click. Not from me, but I remember the shit from my kids for sure.
Yeah. All right, so you know what you got to do if you ever want to get in touch with us. You know the drill. You send us an email to that email address, which is comics@notarobotpodcasts.com, and get us on Twitter at notarobotcomics, also Instagram at NARComicBooks, and if you feel like supporting us, visit buymeacoffee.com/NAR podcasts, where you can get access to our very own Discord server, and you can talk to us and other fans about all things geek. Like just today, we were talking about Marvel Snap. All week we've been talking about Marvel Snap because they released the PvP.
Yeah,
so fun. And I'm tempted to start a little round robin tourney once we get Isaiah in the PvP. And if Nathan can get on, I think there's other people in the server playing too, but I'm not quite sure who else yet.
I think it's me, you, Isaiah, Nathan, and Kirk.
That's it. I could have sworn there was one other. Brandon,
maybe?
Are you playing Marvel Snap?
Marvel Snap?
Yeah.
No, I don't think so.
Oh man, it's a lot of fun. And it's super free. It's incredibly free. It's more free than any other mobile game has been.
That. Yeah.
Yeah,
right,
it is ridiculously ridiculously compared to other mobile games. Cheap as hell because you don't need to spend money at all.
No, you really don't, unless you want to, which I'll admit I have a couple of times. But it's only like with other freemium games, it's only for cosmetics, which is fantastic. It's actually really hard to get cards you don't have by spending money.
Well, that's good.
Yeah, it's wild for what's essentially a TCG without the T. So it's a CCG. I forgot that was a thing.
CCG. Yeah.
All right, so for today's books, we are looking at such a short week. Batman Legends of Gotham one-shot, DC Power, A Celebration, Lazarus Planet, Legends Reborn #1, and The Flash 1 Minute War Special #1, as well as a singular honorable mention. But before we get into that, we'll get into some news, because goddamn, there's been some news this week. And what a list of news it's been. If you're ready for some news, give me a hell yeah.
I'll give you a hell yeah. First, quick
one hell yes.
Quick blip. The Royal Rumble was pretty kick-ass.
I
enjoyed it. I won't. We don't have to argue about it.
No, yeah. We won't debate. I already got into an argument with my brother-in-law and my niece about it. I enjoyed the women's rumble more than the men's rumble, and they both thought I was insane and needed glasses. But that's my opinion.
The women's Royal Rumble was better than the men's Royal Rumble. That's
what I'm saying. It was. The men's rumble was kind of dull. There was like 3 great spots, and that was it. The women's rumble was full of amazing spots and returns, but that's neither here nor there. Point is, Roman versus Owens was the match of the night, as was expected.
Of course. But as far as comic books go,
yes.
Holy smokeroonies.
Remind me, last week, yeah, we did get to talk about the 3 books that were announced with Titans, Green Lantern, and Cyborg, right? We talked about that, if I remember right.
Yes.
Okay.
Mhm.
Well, with that now out of the way, January 31st
Well, I guess there is
rolled around.
maybe one. I guess there is one Dawn of DCU point you could mention, but I think it's pretty minor, and that's just that the DC previews catalog, which is like their basically like the look at the upcoming books for the next couple months or something. Did some of the advertisements for some of the Dawn of the DCU books, and they have some early preview art for what's coming next. So for Green Arrow and Superman, and I think maybe one other. I got to double check, but it's like early looks at the art for the first issue.
Can I get a woohoo for a Green Arrow book?
Right.
Yeah, no, very excited. I was telling Josh off the air, I'm in a very Green Arrow mood, like the past 2-3 days or so. So I've just been reading a ton of Green Arrow.
I think we have all been craving some of that, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like you guys saw last night when my LCS I picked up some Connor Hawk Green Arrow, which I've never read, so I'm all for
Well,
it.
actually, my brother, I'm going to join you because you were like, wait a minute, when's the last time I read something with Connor Hawk? And I had to dig it up, and I remember I went to some LCS over the summer, and I ended up finding one of the Connor Hawk issues too, and it was like some random issue where Connor's in Metropolis and he works with Lois Lane. And I was I should give that one a reread.
What issue number is it?
Let me pull it out. Here we go. Green Arrow 109 from
109,
June 1996.
That's actually not far off from what I have.
Really?
Yeah, that's I was kind of curious if
Wait.
maybe you have an issue I'm missing now.
That'd be cool.
Let's see.
Oh my god.
Where is it? What this hefty pile I picked up. Oh no, okay. My set started at 114, then I got 116, 17, 18, and 19.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh man. Actually, that's an idea for the other show that we occasionally mention, but has kind of stalled. But there's there's a Green Arrow, Nightwing, and Batman crossover from like 1998. It's like right after No Man's Land, and I'm trying to remember. I think it's called like Fist of the Monkey or something. But it's really fun. And when I find the name, I'll send that over to our Discord because that could be a fun one to talk about too.
Right on.
Or wait, Brotherhood of the Fist. That's the name. Here, I'm gonna send it. That's a fun little 5-issue crossover.
What issue numbers?
Here I'm gonna send the list. Brotherhood of the Fist. So you got Green Arrow 134, 135. Oh, I forgot Robin was a part of it. Nightwing, Robin, and Detective Comics. So it's like the Bat family teams up with Connor Hawk.
Okay, that looks good.
Can't complain about a book like that.
Yeah. Right on. Oh, there's 2 issues for Green Arrow, 1 issue for the others. Right on.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's something to look at for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Yeah. So with that, we can get into. I'm trying to find an article that just lists it properly instead of a huge ass write up on each announcement.
I mean, I've got the list here.
Weekly, I think.
Okay, you've
that's
got
the one
the
I
list?
was looking at.
Oh yeah.
Good. Okay. I know where I can find the list too, but I completely
You're on the list.
Why am I on here? Right. Well, without further ado, if y'all have been living under a rock the past, say, 24 hours or more, 48 for good measure, James Gunn has finally, as of January 31st, he left it down to the feckin' wire, announced parts of the DCU slate over the next 10 years. And keep in mind, for just to be sure here, it's not the entire slate. He did say that they're planning the next 10 years, and he did not release the entire 10 years now. He released what they're being dubbed is Chapter 1, and it's subtitled Gods and Monsters. So it's similar to MCU's Phase 1, and this is very much Gods and Monsters-esque, because we start, the first project announced is an animated series, 7 episodes, written by James Gunn. That is already in production, and it's one that I think we are all fairly excited for. Creature Commandos, starring none other than
You say
Frankenstein,
all
Agent
as if
of
it's
Shade.
not like 12 people. Let's be real here.
I mean, the 3 of us at least. we equate
least.
half the fan base of this show right now.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's looks really good. They have a teaser image. Also includes, and if this is tied into the live action DCU, Weasel, which I assume is the same Weasel from the Suicide Squad, directed and written by James Gunn.
Mm-hmm.
At least what looks like Weasel to me. It looks very interesting. And I don't know if you guys are looking at the image now, but over on the left, is that... No, not... I'm getting my names confused now. Tom Strong's not DC, right?
Tom Strong?
That's dicey.
Yeah.
I guess it depends on who you ask. Some would say yes, some would say no.
Right, that's where I'm getting
He
confused.
he technically showed up in the Terrifics, but well,
that's
anyway.
where I was getting. Yeah, I forgot about
that's
that.
a whole other thing.
Yeah, but no, this guy on the left looks like the most normal person here. It looks very familiar.
Yeah.
But I can't quite place it. Oh my god! Wow, now I'm thinking, who the hell's that guy's name? Not Vandal Savage. It was a Doc Savage.
Doc Savage, not Marvel.
Oh yeah,
Or
yeah.
not DC.
No, I don't. Yeah, I'm not. I mean, this could be a very different Doc
he was-
Savage, so I don't want to say anything definitive. But
He was like there's
Doc-
a
yeah.
version of Doc Savage with DC, right? Or was that just a
yes, yeah, very
crossover with them?
briefly, like
Yeah.
yeah, right before the Flashpoint, they acquired the rights of like a ton of pulp characters. So they got Doc Savage, and well, I think they had him in the '80s, and they lost the copyright, and they got him back. And then they did the same thing with the Spirit, who was like another pulp strip character from the '40s.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it could be a different version, so I don't want to say anything definitive. But
Yeah.
the Doc Savage they usually have is like it kind of has like really bronze skin and like a buzz cut.
Yeah. Like the Golden God from the 40s
Yeah.
kind of deal.
For some
yeah.
reason, I was thinking that person might be like an older Rick Flag, or like maybe it's
Oh.
Rick Flag Sr. of the original
Maybe.
Suicide Squad. But I think that was just because of the yellow shirt, because he had that in the movie.
Well, there's only one way to find out, everybody, and that's to tune in to the animated cartoon show.
That's it.
Soon available on
All
HBO Max.
7 of us.
For
Oh man. Hey,
for all
but,
of you
I mean,
aspiring,
you know. Oh no, go for it.
Go ahead.
I was
Go,
just
go,
gonna
go,
say
'cause I was
something
going to
silly.
continue. Say something silly.
No,
That's
I was
all
just gonna say maybe it'll get the Guardians of the Galaxy effect, and everyone will love the Creature Commandos, and you'll have people
you go.
dressing up as GI Robot and Frankenstein and Velcoro and Nina and all these other characters.
That would be
I would love that, but it's
Oh,
it's
dude.
a bit ambitious.
I forgot about GI Robot. Now I recognize that little guy. Oh shoot.
Yeah, no, that's GI Robot.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And yeah, for all of you aspiring voice actors and regular actors out there, myself included, the cast has yet to be selected, and that's
Oh.
all I know. I don't know if auditions are still happening or what, but they have yet to be cast, and they're looking to find people who can not only voice the animated characters but also portray them in live action versions as well, if and when the characters appear in live action. So that's always a
Similar to
possibility.
like Archer.
Yeah.
Yeah, with the exception of H. John Benjamin.
Okay, so I have made
He
that
is
argument
obviously
before.
Not gonna play.
H. John
I
Benjamin
mean,
H. John Benjamin in a suit, a full head of black hair. He could have pulled off Archer. He has
just doesn't
with
have a
Archer's
body
15
figure, though.
months of working out and a lot
Yeah.
of hair growth.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Yeah, he's just like
they stole his.
you would need to
blue
like
eyes.
completely transform him.
Yeah, he has a better
I
chance
wanted
of playing
John
Bob
Hamm
from
to do
Bob's
it.
Burgers than he would.
Yeah, I
Archer.
would.
John
I
Hamm would
agree
be a
with that.
fantastic choice. But get John
Oh, yeah,
Hamm to
definitely.
portray him, and then dub H. John Benjamin's voice over everything.
Exactly.
Yeah,
I think John Hamm could make that work.
He just needs those blue eyes. Anyway,
That's it.
that's
Yeah.
not what we're talking about.
No,
Though I do love me some Archer.
but I definitely want to talk about this more.
it's entertaining.
Next up is Waller, which is a spin-off of Gunn's HBO Max hit series Peacemaker, and while it's not listed in the article, also the Suicide Squad, realistically. So Viola Davis will return as Waller in a short series based off of her, and is not being written by James Gunn. It's actually being written by Crystal Henry, who wrote Watchmen, and Jeremy Carver, who created the Doom Patrol show. So there's a lot of good talent back there. Next up is the next Superman movie, which is Superman Legacy, that Gunn is writing and directing, and it is not an origin story. Safran and Gunn did confirm that it focuses on Superman balancing his Kryptonian heritage with his human upbringing. So there will be a lot of give and take in that story, I believe. Next up, one that I'm mostly excited about is Lanterns. Finally, we're getting some bloody info. And it did get announced last month that it was being retooled into a Jon Stewart centric show, and that is mostly true. It is Jon Stewart and Hal Jordan. And if y'all remember years ago, if you were following the Lantern news like I was, when they said there was a movie and a TV show, the movie was going to be Hal and John in a buddy cop scenario, possibly as detectives. That is what we're getting, but now in an HBO Max series, complete with all the HBO Max budget styles you can get. So it's going to look fantastic and hopefully be a lot of fun. And again, yet to be cast.
Agreed.
Yeah.
You know, as I'm getting, early Superman vibes. I'm all about it. As long as Superman don't end up hooking up with a mermaid, count me in.
Well, yeah, because then Arthur would be pissed.
Well, that's a Frank Miller slam there, but
Oh, yeah. Wait, what Frank Miller book was this in? Or did I forget it?
it was Superman Year One, I believe, wasn't it?
I don't know if I read
Now
that.
I have to look it up. I don't think Brandon's listening.
Wait, no, you guys just completely cut out for a second.
Oh.
I don't know what happened.
Superman, I think it's Superman Year One by Frank Miller, where young Superman hooks up with a mermaid.
Yes,
Okay,
Dear God.
that's what I thought.
Why?
but it likely
Why are
will
we still
not be
doing
that
Frank Miller?
because I think, or at least so the. I mean, it's not even really rumors at this point. They basically have just said it. But the big inspiration for the book is going to be All-Star Superman, which has
Yeah.
everyone kind of losing their minds because it's arguably one of the best Superman stories ever written.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, definitely. Actually, when I was going through my dad's old comics the other day, I think I sent a picture to you guys too. But I looked at Angela. I held up a copy of All Star Superman and All Star Batman. I said, "It is hilarious that these two came out at the same time."
Yeah,
Right.
you could not have two bigger opposites.
Yeah. I did forget to mention Superman Legacy and it is the only one on the list that has a confirmed release date of July 11th, 2025. So that is something to look forward to. Following Lanterns, we are now getting a movie based on a team of superheroes with rather extreme methods of protecting the planet that first originated in the late 1990s under the influential imprint known as Wildstorm.
Woot woot.
If you haven't guessed, it's The Authority.
I can't.
No,
fucking
they're obviously
wait.
talking about Stormwatch,
Oh,
which
yeah.
I mean, I would be down for that.
Yeah,
but-
that's it.
Who would play
Obviously.
live action Henry Bendix?
Oh my god, that is a question.
Jason Alexander.
Jesus Christ.
I think he's angry enough, but I don't think he could be a very convincing Henry Bendix. He needs someone a
The
little
only
more
thing I give a shit about
gross.
is that this means we're going to get a live action Apollo and Midnighter. And
Yes.
God, I
can't
cannot
wait.
wait. Oh man, that's
Yeah.
gonna be so fucking awesome.
It's gonna
Yeah.
be so good.
I can't wait.
I think my main concern was just that it sounds like this is set within the main DC universe, but it's drawing its biggest inspiration from the original Authority run from 1999, which is entirely disconnected from that, and it works because of that, because the Wildstorm universe was its own universe, but it just doesn't really fit if you have a world where the Justice League already exists. So I'm just kind of hoping they do it in its own corner of the multiverse, and it's just part of the larger stuff, but
So
not
what
necessarily a part of the DC universe.
what I'm assuming is we're gonna get it separated but not apart, if that makes any sense. It's gonna be in the same universe, in my opinion. This is my forecast. It'll be in the same universe, but it's gonna exist pretty much separately, like the Suicide Squad did. Kind of stand on its own.
I mean, we can say that about the Suicide Squad, but wasn't that the one where they had the silhouettes of the Justice League at the end?
No, that was Peacekeeper
was
at
that?
the very end, and it was just to make
right,
Aquaman
yeah.
fucks fish joke.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if he slept with Dolphin one time, so
That doesn't count. Don't say that about Dolphin. That's not nice at all.
she's got fish DNA. That's what I mean.
That is true.
There's no
You know?
What's
excuse.
more concerning is the fact that both Arthur and his protege have slept with Dolphin. I don't think anyone talks about that, but it's a little concerning.
What, Garth?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say Jackson.
Garth was
hasn't done
married to
that.
Dolphin.
Really? Oh wow.
Yeah.
Peter David?
What'd you call me?
I was wondering if I should phrase more of that question. But was that the Peter David run?
Phrasing. I'm not sure. Brandon would probably know. But
That sounds like Brandon's cut out.
Yeah, no, you cut out
Oh, okay.
again.
I said, was that Peter David?
No, this is actually it might still be Peter David. I have to double check, but it's later into that before run. Dolphin and Garth get together. But it's
Okay.
just I don't know. I always found that kind of disturbing to think about. Like Arthur was with Dolphin for a little while, and then he went back to Mira, and then Garth and Dolphin hooked up. They ever talk about that?
let's hope not.
Should she not say something?
Bro
that not
code
very
states
uncomfortable to
you
think about?
leave it completely
I know,
silent.
but it's like my surrogate son is with my old girlfriend. I don't know how to feel about that.
All right, so after The Authority, we have our next project is another HBO Max series, which is being described as a Game of Thrones style drama set on the all-female island that is Wonder Woman's birthplace, Themyscira, and it is called Paradise Lost. It takes place before the events of the Wonder Woman films, and that is pretty much all we know about it so far. I'm still getting the vibe that it's going to be a lot like Smallville / Gotham, where you're going to see a younger version of Diana in it, and there's going to be a lot of the older characters having adventures.
Paula.
But it also
and then
seems
you
to
kind of
imply
see
that
Diana's come to power. Yeah.
Yeah, it also seems to imply that everything that has happened in the Wonder Woman films thus far is still canon, because they say this is
Yeah.
before the events of the Wonder Woman films, so you can kind of assume that that's still in play.
I wish they
Potentially,
just
or it's
said,
just a way to get the audience to know that, hey, this isn't a Wonder Woman movie. This happens way before that did. But that doesn't necessarily mean that the last two of them are are still going to be part of continuity because,
Yeah.
I mean, he's
Yeah.
flat out said he's using Flashpoint to completely reboot everything.
Which is
That is
good.
true,
Good in
although-
some aspects. There's some stuff I wouldn't
Yeah,
mind.
if
keeping.
it's anything like the comic version of Flashpoint, it's going to erase some stuff but keep a lot of other stuff, like
Yeah.
literally all of the Lantern mythology and also Batman. So, you know, you basically get to pick and choose what you want, much like Dan DiDio
Yeah.
did.
They were kind of special cases there where Batman had so many family members. It was really hard to just erase most of them and have people not
Yeah.
be pissed off. And Jeff Johns he still had another 20 issues to go in his run. You couldn't really just cut it
Yeah.
off there.
Which is why,
Even the
like,
War of the
literally
Green
the
Lanterns
entire
would have been a
history,
fantastic
yeah,
ending.
yeah, the entire history of like Parallax and all that stuff is still there.
Yeah. Like they still talk about the destruction of Ghost City and Hal going
Yeah.
rogue and like all of it. Him dying, final
Yeah.
night. Apparently that all happened with the Green Lanterns, but just the planet Earth doesn't remember.
Basically.
Everything matters except what doesn't.
Yep. I would have been fine though if they finished their little sentence here that it takes place before the events of the Wonder Woman film. And
Yeah.
just leave it there.
Yeah,
Just,
yeah.
just
Just the one.
acknowledge the first one. Forget 84 ever happened. I'm all right with that.
Yeah.
Jeez.
All right, and next up we have being titled The Brave and the Bold, which is very telling for me. And this is the introduction of the DCU Batman, which also introduces a character we have not seen in live action before, but I think we're all fairly excited for, Damian motherfucking Wayne.
Damian
Hell
motherfucking
yeah.
Wayne.
And this is also taking inspiration from Grant Morrison's famous Batman run, which I was going to say started with. It didn't start with. It included, like I mentioned, Damian Wayne's introduction, among many other amazing stories. And there will be various other members of the Bat family throughout this. It is, yes, it's a movie. But you will see various other members of the Bat family. Members of the Bat family that have not had live action love before. So we're going to
Yeah.
be seeing some new iterations of characters we have not seen in live action.
Which begs the
That
question.
could literally
and
mean-
Rob, I wanna
That could literally mean anybody.
see how
because,
you might be doing an add the Grant Morrison story. What do you think are the odds of us getting Batman R.I.P.?
Not until later.
Yeah, it's going to be a while yet. Like, if they do that, though, it's going to be like the third arc. Or the third story, I think. The third movie.
Mm.
Yeah, but it's definitely kicking things off. We are going to see the unnamed members of the Bat family.
Yeah.
And then Rob and I were sitting there talking, and a couple of other ones in our Discord, and I just started listing off all the people that I was hoping to see it, and I got done and fucking realized I listed everyone in the Bat family.
Well, I think odds are it's pretty safe. We'll probably get Nightwing or something like that.
Yeah.
Because they usually fold him into the family stuff pretty easily, like they did it in the Harley Quinn show and all that stuff. So, would not be surprised
they
to
should,
see
really.
Nightwing and Batgirl.
Yeah.
How about Nightwing and Oracle?
Hmm.
I'm good with either
Signal.
version of Barb. Just,
Yeah, me too. I would probably
Skip
say
Babs in
Batgirl
there.
if you're just starting off, but maybe Oracle down the line.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, with Damien, though, it's obviously not just starting off. But speaking of starting off, if I'm not mistaken, The Brave and the Bold is actually what is kicking off the new DCU. That's, I believe, going to be the first movie that we see.
At least from what I've read, it's not conclusive, but it could very well be.
That would be cool.
But I mean,
It's been a
Superman
long time
Legacy
since we
already
had a Batman.
has it has a date penciled in, so that leads me to believe that might be the first one. Where the others,
bet that's-
there's no date necessarily. In
2.5 years
2025,
away. Damn it.
that
Yeah.
that's only 2 years from now, realistically. And if they
Oh man,
don't
I
have
might not
anything
have
else
2
ready
years
for
left.
the others.
They need to
Man,
light a
don't
fire
say
under
that.
Gunn's ass.
Oh man.
Don't be so grim.
I just need him to hurry up. That's all.
That's it. Yeah.
Damn it.
Oh, actually, I made a mistake. There is another release date listed, but it's for a movie that some people are excited about, others not necessarily. There is another Batman movie coming, and it is a sequel to Robert Pattinson's The Batman.
But
And
it's
it is
gonna
titled
be the last one.
Maybe.
probably
it is titled The Batman Part 2, and it also releases in 2025 on October 3rd, and we will have a Superman and a Batman movie in the same year for the first time, I think, ever.
Yeah, no, probably
yeah.
ever.
Yeah.
Which is wild. I don't remember what year Superman Returns came out, but I'm pretty sure it didn't come out the same year as a Nolan movie.
Is that like 2006?
Yeah, or
think.
4
Definitely
even.
not. Definitely not. Because Batman Begins
Superman
was
Returns?
04. Dark Knight, I think,
Wait.
was 2008.
Yeah, no. Superman Returns
It returns
says
2011.
2006. Yeah.
Yep.
No, you're
Okay,
good.
yeah, so it's definitely not the same
Yeah,
year as a Nolan
well.
flick. So,
Mhm.
all right,
Just like basically a year apart.
yeah. So that is coming. They do say in at least one more Crime Saga movie. So it's not confirmed it's the last one, but it's potentially the
Mhm.
last one for Robert Pattinson. But it is dubbed a DC Elseworlds story. So while it is not connected to the ongoing movie universe that Gunn and Safran are building, they acknowledge that it exists within its own universe. And I love the fact that they're still using Elseworlds.
I know.
Next one up is one that I think we are all excited about as well. It's another HBO Max series based on a unique, lesser-known hero created in 1986 by one of my most favorite writers and artists, Dan Jurgens. That is Booster Gold. We're getting another live-action version of Michael John Carter from the 25th century, and I don't know that Jurgens is involved in it yet, but I really hope so. Because as I stated, I
It's
think I
a
was talking
safe
to you at the
guess.
time, Brandon, Jurgens has pretty much written everything Booster Gold has been in. So,
Yeah, no, pretty much. Save
Yeah.
for, the Wahaha era Justice League stuff and occasional other series, but yeah, pretty much everything.
yeah. So that's going to be fun.
But
Next
we
up,
talked about
He better have skeets.
oh, it's
I
got to
was
have
just thinking about this for potential. What's up?
Sorry, Brandon, you're cutting out, bud.
Yeah, if Skeet's not in there, I'm going to be highly disappointed. And I'm also confused and cautious about it because I don't know. You can't have Booster Gold without Blue Beetle, right?
Realistically,
I mean, I guess
but we do have Blue
technically
Beetle
you
coming
would.
this
Yeah,
year.
which is
But
So-
will it be? So is it going to be Booster Gold and Jaime Reyes Blue Beetle?
Oh, it remains to be seen if Ted Kord is going to make an appearance in the Jaime Reyes
Yeah.
movie. So we could have both.
yeah.
Could be blue and gold and blue.
Blue and Gold and Blue.
We mentioned that, but I
Yeah.
think it would be pretty easy for them to slip a line in, like, oh, there were 2 previous Blue Beetles before, Jaime got his scarab, Dan Garrett and then Ted Kord. So I feel like that's not too difficult to fit into there.
No, the
And we
only
already
thing that
know-
has me scratching my head is that Ted Kord has not been mentioned for the Blue Beetle movie, but they're introducing Victoria Kord, which
Yeah.
I believe
Which
that's
we've
a
Yeah.
seen in the
character.
recent Blue Beetle series. Yeah. She was original for the movie, and then Graduation Day has introduced her into the comics. And I believe in the movie she is also going to be Ted Kord's sister. So I think it's safe to assume that Ted Kord is at least going to have a
Yeah.
cameo.
And hopefully not a tombstone.
Well, we'll see if what's his name is in it. God, I'm so horrible with names today. shit. Dude from
Faizan Love.
Checkmate. Justice League International Checkmate, that asshole.
Oh, Maxwell Lord?
Maxwell Lord, yeah. If Maxwell Lord is in it, we'll probably see a Ted Cord tombstone
Yeah.
lisp on it eventually. But if he's away, then Ted might live.
Yeah.
We'll see.
He's away, then Ted could play. Awesome.
All right, next up, our penultimate title is one that I think is Josh's favorite one coming forward. It's Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow. And this is, as is described in the article, it's taking its cues from the recent Tom King written miniseries, but it is a very different take from what we will see, or what we have seen in the past from Supergirl. Where this is a Supergirl where Superman was sent to Earth and raised by loving parents in the Kents. Supergirl was instead raised on a chip of Krypton, which is probably Argo, and was just kind of an asteroid floating around in space, where she slowly watched everyone around her die and be killed in terrible ways for the first 14 years of her life, and then she came to Earth. So she's a little messed up, understandably so. So it's going to be a bit of more of a hardcore Supergirl than we're used to, but I'm all about that.
I hope Sasha Calle is still the Supergirl, because I thought that she would have done a good one. Probably
I hope
won't
so.
be, but
Yeah. We'll see. We'll see how that goes. And finally, if you remember when we were talking about Creature Commandos earlier, I mentioned that they're looking for actors that can also play potential live-action versions of these characters. And if there's ever a project where any of the Creature Commandos could show up in live action, then it is in a live-action horror film that is closing out the first part of the first chapter in Swamp Thing.
woot woot.
That's all we know so far, but it's enough to get me
and as
excited.
long as it's better than the Wes Craven version, we're good. I saw that once. I
Now,
found
hold on
that
a
it
second.
existed. I saw it once, and I never want to see it again. Unless I'm drunk.
I'm telling you right now, though. I'm telling you right now, the Wes Craven version is it is light years better than the Swamp Thing Part 2.
You know what?
Oh my goodness. Then it's way better than Swamp Thing Part
Oh,
2,
God.
which was
There's a part 2?
so very
That's terrible.
Yeah, and it's not by Wes Craven. It's if I'm remembering correctly, it's actually Roger Corman, who is
Oh, God.
just very, very famous for very, very bad B or less movies.
Oh.
I watched it. Of course I
that
did. 'Cause
amazing Fantastic Four movie from 1992.
yeah, there you go. That one too.
That one I've watched, even though there's no way I should have, but I've seen it, and that is, if you like cheesy bad movies, you're gonna love it.
Seriously.
Honestly though, for the time it was in, the Thing being made with the same animatronics and makeup departments that made the TMNT movies, that's a decent choice. Thing didn't look that bad in comparison for the time it was set in. I would argue that version of the Thing looked way better than the Michael Chiklis version.
Yeah. I thought Michael Chiklis did a good job as the Thing. Actually, I think he was
Yeah.
one of the few things that I enjoyed about that show.
Oh yeah, definitely.
But his Thing, it looked like poop.
Yeah, actually, literally, it was. Yeah. And if your poop looks like that, see a doctor.
Yeah, even if it's on the sidewalk, it doesn't matter. Call a doctor.
Yeah. Just get someone out there to fix this.
Now, that is the rundown that we've got on the movies. But it's
So far.
all of the TV and all of the movies are all a part of the big, huge universe, but that's not all. The video games are going to be released sporadically, or not sporadically, intermittently, and those video games are actually going to be used to fill in spaces of time that may not be present in the movies or TV shows. So you're gonna, for example, you're going to want to get the upcoming Superman video game. James Gunn is gonna have his fingerprints all over it, and it will tie in to the larger universe.
Hopefully not a
Unlike
large amount, though.
any
I would
other
hate
video
for you to
games
have
that
to
we've
be
ever had.
required to buy a video game to understand what's going on in the movie.
Yeah.
Oh no, I
Yeah, I
imagine
hope
it's
it's like
just
a
for
side
completionists
thing. Yeah.
like me, and but
Like the old
it's supposed to be
school-
used
I
to
say
fill
old
in
school,
time
but-
jumps.
But the movie, the 2000s movie video games and early 2010s, like with Iron Man and Green Lantern and Spider-Man and movie tie-in games, they were in the same universe and they took place after the movies.
Yeah.
And you could, in your mind, if your own headcanon was good enough, you could be like, yeah, no, this is like the same thing. It's part of the same universe. But then the sequel rolls around, if it got one, and it just doesn't acknowledge anything in the video games whatsoever.
Yeah.
Sucky.
So it could be like that.
Let's hope not. Let's hope not. But I mean, other than all of these sound amazing, with the exception of Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow, if it is based on Tom King's. But it sounds like it may just be inspired by Woman of Tomorrow, by King's
Yeah, no,
Woman
there
of
are,
Tomorrow.
there's a lot of these
Hopefully
aren't going to be
she's not
direct
going to
adaptations
some other planet
of the
and-
work. Like it's
No.
taking inspiration from Batman and Son or All Star Superman, but it's not going to be a 1-to-1, translation.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
that's
you're not going to be seeing Supergirl turning 21, getting drunk.
No.
pissing
It'll just be
off
like the
somebody
tone
else.
will be similar or whatever.
Yeah.
I hope that's the case. If that's the case, then I'll like all of them. But all of them sound great. The Authority, I am dying for. Swamp Thing, I can't wait to see. Since we're getting stuff like The Brave and the Bold and we're getting Damian introduced, I can't help but wonder, which Swamp Thing will we be getting?
Probably Alec
Ooh.
Holland. That's the
That's the question I
bet.
haven't thought
I could
of.
see them doing a completely new Avatar of the Green, but yeah, my guess would be Swamp Thing. I get the impression he's gonna try and do like a what's the word I'm looking for? It's like that kind of like 70s type of horror, like kind of schlocky. Is it Grindhouse?
Oh,
I don't
yeah.
know, maybe, but yeah, I was thinking
Grindhouse?
something
Yeah,
like
it's
that.
I mean, Grindhouse is technically
Yeah,
like
because
bloody, but-
Swamp Thing was from 72, so it would make sense. But that's just total speculation. I have no idea.
Yeah, it could be. I'd be
We'll put
down
this
for
out there.
Levi Kamei.
Hell yeah, I would. With just like some references to Alec Holland from back in the day, I'm good with that. I'd be totally fine with that. Plus, I mean, let's be honest here, and this isn't me soapboxing or anything, but even with all of these cool upcoming shows, there's still not a whole lot of representation there. So having Levi show up would be pretty cool, I think.
Yeah. I think
But,
so.
I think that's about it for the movies.
Yeah. I
Is
mean,
there any
you
other
bring up a good
news?
point about representation. That you're right. There really isn't
Mhm.
much. Like you have Jon Stewart and Waller, and then the rest
Jaime
is all
Reyes as Blue
potential.
Beetle, if he's carrying over, because that question
if
mark
he's
is
going to
still
be a
large.
Booster Gold. But the rest is all just potential. With you could have Levi Kamei and Swamp Thing, you could have Signal and Batwing in Brave and the Bold potentially, but none of that's confirmed. It's all hearsay and
I don't know. I think
But
they've
you
definitely
make a
got
good point
Marvel
that there's
beat in that department when they have a team of entirely monsters. You can't really be more diverse than that. Pretty hard.
Fair
Just being honest.
Fair
True.
enough.
yeah. Well, we all know what Brandon's most favorite upcoming
Obviously.
project
No, I'm
is.
so excited.
Yeah, it does look
Yeah,
really good.
Midnighter coming.
I've said it once, said many
Yeah.
times. As
I'm
one
not
of the
even
few
gonna
people
lie,
that
I've
really
been-
enjoyed Frankenstein, Agent of Shade. It's just nice to see those characters getting some love.
Oh yeah, for sure, for sure.
Yeah, I'm down. All right. Well, with that, I think that's all there is to talk about in the news. You guys got anything else?
Mm-mm.
No, no, that's it. Other than the two that I'm looking forward to the most is obviously the Authority, strictly because that means Apollo and Midnighter are going to be there, and that's fucking wicked. And then the Brave and the Bold because we haven't had a Batman movie in fucking years, and I'm craving.
Yeah. Well, I do wonder if, I mean,
Wait.
they're saying it's drawing inspiration from
Was that
the
sarcasm?
99 team, but it's not confirmed what the roster of the Authority will be because obviously that's varied over the years. So I wonder if they're sticking with the classic one or if they're doing, maybe more of a contemporary blend like we had with the Superman and the Authority team. It could be either or.
Yeah.
If Apollo and Midnighter better show up, anybody else I couldn't give two shits.
I don't know.
Manchester-
am
Manchester
so
Black, I
down
would
for
be
live
so
action
cool with.
Jenny Sparks. That would make my day.
Yeah.
Okay,
Oh man.
but yeah,
I think
other than-
Apollo and Midnighter's a safe bet no matter
Yeah.
what for the Authority because they are arguably the two most famous characters from
Yeah.
those teams from that team.
or at least definitely the two most enjoyable.
Yeah.
My favorite is
What happens if you get
My
an
favorite is
emotional
still Jenny
Apollo
Sparks.
and a Terminator
Mm,
Batman?
Wait.
Uh.
I just thought of something, and don't hate me. And James Gunn, if you're listening, don't necessarily take this to heart. What if, and honestly, Brandon, you just made me think about this when I first talked about the Authority and you said Stormwatch.
Yeah.
I'm like, wait a minute. There was another team Apollo and Midnighter
It's
were
true.
on at the beginning of the New 52, and it was
This is
called
correct.
Stormwatch. And it also included Martian Manhunter.
that is true.
That would be cool. I would be down for Martian Manhunter actually showing up in a movie.
But on the Authority, though, would that
I don't
be a
care.
good
I'd
place
be
for
fine
Sean?
with that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
because I mean, other than that, you have a very emotional Superman and a Terminator Batman, and I think there needs to be some kind of person there that would be able to rein everybody in somewhat, and Martian Manhunter would do a good job of that.
Or
I think.
again, just get Jenny
But
Sparks.
I don't wanna- Jenny
Yeah.
Sparks.
Yeah.
I will not leave this alone.
I'll be honest with you. I don't remember anybody else that was on that team because
Oh,
I haven't
you kill
looked
me.
at that book in 10 years.
Yes.
Go back.
On the New 52 Stormwatch,
Oh,
I mean. Specifically
Yeah,
that
I
version.
think.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to think who else was there. It'll come to me in a minute, but
Yeah.
um,
So even the cover of the first issue just had Martian Manager, Apollo, and Midnighter. That was it, if I remember
yeah,
right.
I think
I have the trade.
I want to
right
say
behind
I
me.
think
just
Jack
can't-
Hawksmoor was also on the team and a version of Engineer.
Oh, that
It might
sounds
have
familiar.
been a different version of the Engineer. I don't know, but yeah.
And she mentioned Jack Hawksmoor. I think he might be right. I think he was on that version. Could get a live action Jack Hawksmoor though. I'm down for that too.
Oh yeah.
I don't know. The sky is almost the limit when it comes to the Authority.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see what they do with that.
Yeah.
There's a lot of excitement basically down the road if you're a DC fan. A lot of stuff to look forward to. And as they say online, we're eating well. We're eating good now.
Hell yeah.
It's gonna be
The
a
one
good
thing
decade.
I'm curious is Peacemaker coming back? Peacekeeper. Because I don't see any mention of that anywhere.
Not yet. This is just the
Yeah.
first part, right? This isn't the full 10 years, and even ends with this is the first part of chapter 1.
Yeah.
So there's a lot more to come. It might not even be this might not even be in sequential order. Or release order rather. They could be like picking things out at random, so
Yep.
it
Only
could be
one
we
way
get
to find
Swamp
out.
Thing in like 2031.
Shut your face.
I'll have kids by then.
God, that was just mean.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I was supposed
Hey,
to have a
Brandon
Green
Jr.,
Lantern
come and
movie in
watch some body
2020.
horror
Oh
with
my
me.
god.
I don't even know
Yeah,
what's
no. I'm if it is a
Hell yeah.
body horror movie, I'm definitely not bringing my child to watch that. Oh my god. That's a terrible idea. But, I'll make sure they watch Creature Commandos. That'll
There you
be
go.
There you
like
go.
And Thundercats.
Okay, so with that, I think it's time to get into some
let's
books.
do it.
And if
Alrighty.
we want to start off with our only honorable mention this week, Josh, you want to tell us what it is?
I absolutely do. It's Harley Quinn Romances, a book I ended up giving a 7 out of 10 to. Some relationship stuff sprinkled across 8 stories by a huge number of creatives that I will not list because it's a typical anthology that we are not covering. Little stories, some good, some cute, some you didn't expect. They were all pretty decently enjoyable. Nothing too muchy, just some okay Valentine's Day reading. It's an unimportant anthology. It was fun to read if you have the extra cash, but by no means should anyone feel like they need to run out and get this. Not
There you go.
shitting on it, but I mean, this has got to be your cup of tea to go out and drop that cash.
It's a holiday book, as I've been saying a lot today.
Yeah.
You can't expect much anymore out of holiday
No.
books. That's just my opinion on it. Might be
Yeah, I mean-
enjoyable, might be horrible. Who knows?
A little bit of both.
Yeah. It's a gamble. All right, so with that, we're going to get into, and I should have prefaced this. I meant to mention this at the beginning of the episode. Our format will be a little bit different today, where we are not going to have a clear-cut, quick bites spotlight and so on and so forth. Because there are so few books this week, and the books we do have so many stories involved, we are going to have basically one full dive section with Batman Legends of Gotham that Brandon is going to tell us about in a minute, and then the 3 compilation books we have with DC Power, Lazarus Planet, and 1 Minute War Special will be kind of an open forum discussion between the 3 of us with scores at the end. But as I mentioned, starting off is Batman Legends of Gotham, the one-shot number 1 out yesterday, sometime this week, and Brandon's going to tell us about
Yes,
that.
my pleasure. Yeah, no, this is Batman Legends of Gotham, written by Andy Diggle with art from Carl Mostert and colors from Romulo Fajardo Jr. I don't know how much you guys know about Andy Diggle, but for those who may have been unaware, he's probably most well known for his work on a book called The Losers at Vertigo, I think around 2006 or so, which is important to keep in the back of your mind, especially if you've read The Losers, because, well, I guess I'll get into that later. But the point is,
I mean, now that you've reminded me that he wrote that,
because
then, this is
it
making
was
a lot
very
more
much
sense.
on my mind as I was reading this, especially in some of the scenes. But the basic gist of it is Jason Todd returns to the Batcave looking for information, which is not clear what exactly that is at the time, but is intercepted by Black Lightning, who is questioning what exactly Jason is doing there. Katana joins them shortly after, and they're, basically doing there is randomly Batcave, where he explains that he's there after the information that was stolen from the Batcave by Leviathan when all these secret organizations went under during the event Leviathan Madness Bonanza that we all loved reading. But the Batcave computer has basically been working on tracking down this information the entire time, and they have located it and tracked it to a broker in Gamora Island by the name of Myriad, who is auctioning off all this information to the various criminal elements around the world. So Red Hood, Black Lightning, and Katana decide to go on a fun little road trip over to Gamora Island, because where else would you go on a road trip? And are hunting after Myriad to find out exactly who is behind, the mysterious theft of this information and where it's being sold. So they make their way to the auction. Red Hood is basically going undercover, acting as the villain at the center of this so he can gain access to it. where he runs into an old friend slash enemy, none other than Waylon Jones, aka Killer Croc, who is still pretty pissed at Hood for ruining his operation in the Hill. Natural, I suppose. But before they can really duke it out, they're stopped by the owners of the auction, who are basically saying, don't do this outside. We need to kind of keep this all contained and try and keep a little bit of decorum. But Croc isn't having that and demands that Hood come in with him because he's going to have his pound of flesh after the auction is all over. But the auction begins and seems to go off mostly without a hitch. You have some of the usual characters there: Mercy Graves, Bane, Condiment King, everyone you would expect to see at an auction like this. They make their various bids until Bane makes what I would say is the most powerful bid, basically saying that I'm going to put up the most, and anyone who challenges me, particularly Mercy Graves, who is kind of proven to be the fiercest competitor, will basically not walk away with their life if they try and outbid me. So the auction goes to Bane. Jason is quick on his feet and chasing after him, but unfortunately he is caught before he can make any decisive moves. He fires off a round at Bane, but unfortunately it's stopped by the bulletproof glass, and Jason is forced to flee from the rest of the guards that were working at the auction before Katana and Black Lightning show up and pull his ass out of the fire. Black Lightning is scolding Jason over his impulsive actions before Jason reveals that the bullet that he fired off at Bane was actually a tracking bullet, and sort of forces old Jeff Pierce to swallow a little bit of humble pie. But thankfully, in doing so, they are able to trace Bane and also, by proxy, trace the signal of the information that Myriad was planning to give to its original source, which is a crypto bank orbiting space. They make their way to that location, but unfortunately the resistance they run into is not just the standard robot guards, but actually the AI computer that is governing the entire ship, which has quickly been evolving and basically decides to self-destruct in order to make sure that its secrets are preserved. But thankfully, Jason is able to get all of the information that Myriad had been hoarding onto a quantum drive, and basically gets away with that, but is running from the rest of the outsiders from Black Lightning and Katana. They think that he's betrayed him, and Katana goes after him, only to realize that Jason didn't really care about the data cache at all. All of this was basically just a ruse so that he could get his revenge on Bane. But thankfully, Katana is able to talk him out of any bloodthirsty action. They return to their normal lives. Jason meets up with Killer Croc and reveals a rather embarrassing secret about his personal life that was part of the data cache, but will now be preserved. And it turns out that the person that Jason had saved in the madness in the satellite, who had escaped from the Myriad satellite, was actually a secret agent for Talia al Ghul, and has now recovered this information and is giving it back to her hands. Only it contains more information that she had previously had when she was running Leviathan, and the games are only just beginning. I had a pretty good time with this one, I have to say. It was fun, but the reason I brought up Andy Diggle and The Losers a little bit earlier was because as I was reading this, it just, something about the dialogue and the characters felt very much like Losers. It felt very loser-esque, which lends itself to be a little off. I don't know if you guys got that feeling as well, but sometimes it was fine, and then sometimes it just felt a little strange. But aside from that, pretty fun romp, pretty fun adventure. Looking forward. Oh, it appears we've lost Josh. Oh, he's back. Hello?
Uh-oh.
Hello?
Well, that's not
You guys hear me?
Okay.
I can hear you. Yeah. Josh.
Hello?
Oh,
Oh,
keep going. Got it.
yeah, no, just a pretty fun romp, and it'll be interesting to see if this story gets continued later on down the line. But yeah, no, I had a pretty good time with it. The art is okay. It has some good moments. I would say, it's very Frank Quitely inspired. Something about the way that he draws this faces just felt very much like kind of a Frank Quitely inspired artist, but it worked in some places and didn't work quite as well in others. So it's mostly okay. But aside from that, pretty fun romp, and it'll be interesting to see where this might continue down the line. So I gave this a 7.5 out of 10.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Um, I loved that they brought back incredibly smart Bane. He has been missing for a
Mhm.
while. That was pretty cool. I thought most of the art was damn good. There were some pages, some panels that I wasn't super fond of. The story was a little okay. So I saw Leviathan. I read Leviathan, and immediately suffered from a, a very hard eye roll. Um, Maybe even
No,
more
Spiral
than
was a
once.
different agency.
But ultimately, while the story was kind of the ending makes me wonder who the hell that big baddie is. It sets up what could be a whole lot of almost like a Tower of Babel by a bad guy, which doesn't sound like a fun time for the good
I mean,
guys anyway. Sounds like it might be
that's
pretty
sort of
fucking
what
fun
Tower
for
of
us.
Babel was. It was Ra's al Ghul getting access to all the secrets of the Justice League, basically. Except this time it might just be with Talia.
Yeah.
Yeah, potentially, huh?
And it wouldn't 100% be Batman's fault because there's other organizations on that
Exactly.
drive too.
Yeah, see, that's what I'm saying. Different. I consider Tower of Babel to be Batman's fault. He's
Oh,
almost the
definitely.
villain in that.
Yeah.
So it could be really good, could be a really fun time, or could also be kind of dumb. If I'm being honest, though, Leviathan is best left in the dirt. But I gave this a 7.75 out of 10. It was still a pretty damn good read, and it flew by considering how many pages were in it.
Yeah, I can agree. It definitely did not feel like I don't remember the page count. I think it was like 48 or
Mhm.
something, but it definitely felt like a smaller issue than that. I loved it. I thought it was really, really cool to see. It feels weird calling just the two of them the Outsiders, but the
Yeah.
Outsiders and Red Hood
Right.
working together. The Outsiders and the Outlaws,
Yeah, has their plane always been called the Outsider? 'Cause I
No.
don't feel like it has. I feel like that's
I
brand
don't.
new.
I think that's a brand new
Yeah, I
plane.
don't even really remember them
And
having
it's
a plane.
really
Yeah.
rounded edges.
I mean, I'm sure they've had them in the past,
Yeah.
but they usually just use one of the various bat planes.
Yeah.
I think even the last time the Outsiders uh, uh, series was put out, I for some reason remember them traveling by train.
Yeah.
Could have been, or even private
Yeah.
jet.
Perhaps.
Yeah. Oh, well, that was in the past anyway. A lot of fun. Really enjoyed it. I really like the art style. A nice little espionage thriller, you could say, with all the James Bond twists and turns you'd come to expect from a story of that caliber. Plus, I don't know if you guys got the vibe, but I'm blanking on the bank's name, but there was the D-bit system. Uh, did you guys get a GLaDOS/Aperture Laboratories vibe?
A little bit, yeah.
Because
Yeah,
I did.
definitely with the
Yeah,
with their
that
suits.
whole the
yeah.
firing. Oh yeah, and when they fired all the employees,
Yeah.
your contracts have now been
Yeah.
terminated. You are now all
Yeah.
trespassing. You are about to be vaporized. What?
All right.
Okay. That's definitely GLaDOS. Yeah.
Not very polite, if you ask me.
Oh hell no, no. The Talia twist at the end I thought was a nice touch. I'll admit I didn't see that coming, but sets up a lot of stuff for Talia in the future, so I'm really excited about that. I think I'll give this like a 8.5, 8.75. I think is a good score there. Yeah, I really enjoyed this one. I went into it expecting nothing, so I was pleasantly surprised by the end.
Yeah, I don't think any of us knew what we were getting in any of these books, to be honest.
Yeah.
With the exception of the Harley Quinn one, we knew what
Yeah.
that
Well, I had a
was.
rough idea just
Yeah,
based on the
realistically,
creative
yeah.
team, but you know, it was nice to see how they delivered.
Hmm.
See, I'd read The Losers, but I didn't put Andy Diggle with it, so
Yeah.
I didn't get that little bit of foreshadowing.
No, that was on
But
my
I
mind.
enjoyed it nonetheless. Definitely has The
Yeah.
Losers vibe to it.
Yeah.
Which is funny because one of
All right, and with
the
that,
main never mind.
go ahead.
Oh no, I was
No,
just
go
gonna say
ahead, man.
one of the
Oh,
one
go
of the
ahead, go
main
ahead.
villains I think of that series is also kind of like a very sort of smart, well-spoken character, and it sounded just like Bane in this, which I thought was pretty funny.
That's awesome.
Well, good. Smart Bane needs to stick around. We don't need
Yeah.
Grudging Bane.
No. No, Smart Bane's very suave. I like it.
And he's just a better character when he's written that way.
Yeah. I hope for more from these characters with Andy Diggle. Get this team going.
Definitely.
I like it. All right, and with that, we are going to take a quick commercial break before we get into our other books for the week. Stay tuned. And we're back. Thanks for sticking with Not a Robot. I'm not even going to say it. You know what I'm going to say.
We know because
You're
you're
welcome.
psychic.
That's right. I said it. I'm beaming my thoughts to you through the
It
airwaves.
is because
You didn't make the sound. You got to go.
you are from what is it? What's her name?
Oh, that's South Park
Oh my
episode.
god, I'm such an idiot. I was. I was literally. This is like a what number do you dial for 911 moment. I was like, what planet? I was trying to think of Saturn Girl because she's a psychic from the DC and from the Legion of Superheroes, and I was like, what planet is Saturn Girl from? I was like, you idiot! Of course she's Saturn Girl. It's literally in the fucking name.
Oh man,
Oh.
Legion of Superheroes.
And I was gonna say you're
fantastic.
one
Actually-
of her race from Saturn. You can read minds.
Yeah.
Saturnian, I don't know.
Speaking of which, the new Legion of
Yeah.
Superheroes movie just came out. I haven't gotten a chance to watch
Oh.
it, but I will
Sure, it hasn't
watch it
dropped.
before the end of the week.
Yeah, it looks really good. But I got my movie going time saved for Black Panther Wakanda Forever because I did not get to see it in theaters and it finally came to Disney Plus. So that's my movie this weekend.
Oh, I'm watching that too. For sure. I couldn't get out to the theater. I've been waiting. I've been
Yeah.
waiting.
Yeah, I don't like waiting, but I was good. I
It
waited.
was.
Yeah. All right, so our next book of the week is DC Power: A Celebration. And if there is more to that title, I am not entirely sure. I feel like there's supposed to be more, but I don't think there is.
Yeah.
Nope, just
no, it is
DC Power, a celebration.
Celebration. Very, very good anthology from what I've read so far. I have not personally had a chance to finish it because work has kept me super busy. We have inventory tomorrow. Yippee!
Mm.
But
Woohoo.
I know my cohorts here, Josh and Brandon, have had their hands on it in full, so they are going to take over from here.
Yeah, the first story is called Black Paradise. It's written by Evan Narcisse with Daryl Banks on the art and Hi-Fi on the colors, man. It's a super duper fast one. It's about Amazing Man. Amazing Man can turn into anything that he touches. Set way back in the 50s. It's a standalone story. It touches on racism. It doesn't do it with a light finger. And I thought it was really fun, man. A stellar
Yeah,
read.
yeah, no,
But,
Amazing Man
you
is
know,
one of those.
not one for the record books, but
Yeah,
fun
no,
enough.
Amazing Man was one of those characters from, I believe it's, yeah, no, All Star Squadron, because they mention it at the beginning. That kind of got touched on in the '80s run with Roy Thomas, but definitely a character that could be explored more. So it was really interesting to see that he was kind of one of the lead stories in this anthology, and I was very refreshed to see that, and I thought it was a really solid. Definitely important, but really solid story that just kind of touched on the history of heroism in that era, and kind of delving into some of the nastier parts of that, which I thought was really well done.
Yeah. As did I.
That is the one story so far I've had a chance to read. While not complete, I may be a couple of pages off. And Amazing Man does seem very familiar to me. Like, I've read things in the past 20 years with him in it. But I do know that the history of the character, very good history there. Really a classic character that I wish they
Yeah,
did more
yeah. No,
with.
you've probably seen him in and around the DC universe in various different roles, but
Yeah.
yeah, if you read that All Star Squadron book, you'll see him pop up definitely a few times.
Oh, yeah, for sure. For sure. The second one, titled Separate But Equal, featuring Black Lightning, Thunder, and Lightning, was written by Lamont McGee. Chris Cross did the art with, pencils. Juan Castro did the inks, and Will Quintana was the colorist on that one. This one was a little denser, but not by much. Jefferson's at a school board meeting defending against the notion that schools should be segregated, normies versus metas. They want to protect the mudbloods, I guess. He points out that it's a bad idea for obvious reasons. And then some men show up posing as metas, trying to further separate normies from meta people. And Black Lightning turns into Black Lightning, Thunder, and Lightning, who I really think Lightning needs a new name. They show up, they save the day, but Jefferson's fight for equality is far from over. It sounds pretty goddamn familiar to me. It's a hell of a story, and the art is fantastic. For me, it was one of the best stories in this book. It really was. Did you get into that one, Brandon, at all? Did you get into that one at all, Brandon?
Sorry, you're cutting out like crazy, but I assume you're talking about the Black Lightning story. Yes, got a chance to read that one. Also, really
Yeah.
enjoyed it. Hoping that maybe Black Lightning is one of the characters that gets a Dawn of the DCU book, because I think now that a lot
Oh, that
more
would be
stuff is in
awesome.
continuity, particularly his daughters, Anissa and Jennifer, Thunder and Lightning. It would be interesting to see, what kind of stories they could do with all of them, because I feel like they didn't really get a chance to do that in the past.
Yeah, we're here. I think your Wi-Fi signal is a little bad, but I do too. I hope that Lightning gets a different code name soon, because Black Lightning and then Lightning, just I don't know. I feel like there could be more there. But anyway, the next story is a little different. It's entitled "The Queen, the Bee, and the Symphony," and it was written by Stephanie Williams with art from pencils from Alita Martinez, and Mark Morales was the inker with Alan Guimarães on colors, and Brandon just dropped out. Hopefully, he's able to come back there. It's Queen Nubia and Bumblebee in their civvies going dress shopping so they can go to a classic musical performance by Bumblebee's husband, who I've never seen before, or at least not at least I don't remember it at all. But anyway, Monsieur Mallah shows up, kidnaps the performers of the concert, and does it because he forgot to buy Brain tickets to go to the concert. It ends up with Nubia playing the harp at the concert, and and that's the whole story. Going from dress shopping to a concert to stolen performers, and then Monsieur Mallah feeling like he needs to make up for his flubber at Ticketmaster. Uh, not bad. It's certainly not the greatest story in here. It actually is the one that I would have considered the least good. But it was okay. It was weird and unnecessary, but it did have some pretty fantastic art.
Yeah, I liked seeing the team up between Karen and Nubia, but I agree that the kind of story
Right.
for it was very silly. Which it's fine. Like
Yeah.
really, they're the highlight, so the story is kind of superfluous. But yeah, no, it is a little silly, and I will admit it's probably one of the weaker ones. But honestly, my favorite part was just the pinup that they had, the kind of DC Who's Who spoof.
Oh man.
Because I really liked the way they drew Nubia for there. It just looked really good.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, it did. Robin Smith did that,
No,
I
this was actually
believe.
Clayton Henry. Yeah, no, it just
Oh,
looked
was
really
it
good though.
really? Interesting. I could have swore the pinups were by
Mhm.
different people. Anyway, the next one is Keeping the Peace. Green Lantern John Stewart and Kelly make an appearance in this one. And it's super, super simple. It's an anti-bully story where John and Kelly stop two warring groups from bullying each other by bullying them. That's my kind of tactic. Takes me way back to high school. Though I'm just I don't know what it is with John Stewart books, man, but I just can't dig the art. I just can't get into it. Not a bad story, not horrible art, just definitely not my favorite kind by any stretch. Um, it was kind of cool to see an anti-bully story thrown
Mhm.
in here, though, especially including Kelly, who I feel after honestly after getting discovered with her Green Lantern gauntlet, she's experienced quite a bit of bullying from the
Mhm.
Lanterns herself. Not exactly had the greatest time, I would say. We got the next one up is Own Your Name, written by Dorado Quick and Jordan Clark. Artist is Clayton Henry with Marcelo Mialo on colors. And it's a really simple story about overcoming doubt and accepting all the parts of yourself. All while Cyborg goes through this, all while fighting Livewire, trying to talk some sense into her and saying he understands where she's coming from. It's real quick. It's simple. Um, it's a good story. It really is. I don't like the art at all, which is too
Oh wait, I
bad.
think you might be talking about
But
the Booyah
co-
story.
oh yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah,
Oh.
I'm on Booyah. My bad. I jumped. My mistake. But yeah, the art wasn't my cup of tea. It wasn't too bad. The colors worked for the art, but it
Mhm.
just wasn't there for me. Yep, my bad. I'll go
That's
back to
fine.
the previous story right after
But I
this
like
one.
I like the writing for this one, and I like the idea of the story of,
Yeah.
Cyborg kind of going back to Detroit and back to his roots and connecting with his family. One of the kind of funnier parts, the later part of the New Teen Titans run, is when Cyborg's grandparents show up and they're just very energetic and definitely not what you would expect from his grandparents. And I'm hoping they kind of dig more
Not with
into the weirder
not with
parts of
his
his family and
dad.
just make it sort of a more grounded family story like this was.
Yeah, like he needs a crazy
Yeah,
cat
yeah,
lady aunt. That would be awesome.
exactly.
For sure. All right, the story that I skipped over was Own Your Name. It features Aquaman, Jackson Hyde Aquaman, and Kid Flash. It was, I gave the wrong creative team. This creative team is Dorado Quick and Jordan Clark, Clayton Henry, and Marcelo Mealo. Booyah was written by Morgan Hampton, Valentine D. Landro, and Marissa Louise. But back to Own Your Name. So Wallace is making an appearance at this public rally, and he's got some insecurities because he's not the Flash that they were hoping to see. The Thinker is there, and he pushes a whole lot of doubt and rage into Wallace. Jackson shows up, Wallace attacks him, and Jackson is able to talk some sense into him. The Thinker shows up again, talks smack, and then disappears. Later on, Wallace gets asked for an autograph, and that makes him feel a little good. But this one was kind of all about insecurities and not feeling like you measure up to the to what people are expecting or what people want, and it was a damn good story, and I feel like a lot of people could relate to this one for a numerous amount of reasons. I thought it was great. The art in this one is freaking gorgeous, and I do like the fact that this Aquaman Flash pairing doesn't really dislike each other like their forebears do. You know, Flash and Aquaman are not exactly the best of friends. That we've seen most recently in Void Song, which was one hell of a story, one hell of an arc. I like that. That was good. Anybody else check that one out?
Yeah.
Brandon?
Yeah,
I know
I
Rob
did check
wasn't
this
able
one
to.
out. Pretty solid. I think a good
Sure was.
story for Wallace, just kind of trying to find his own place. Although there's one thing that they never really touch on, which was like mentioned ever so briefly in Williamson's Flash run. Something that I thought was a really interesting idea, but it was only like kind of mentioned and then never brought up again. And it was this idea that basically Wallace existed as an accident of the Flashpoint, like he didn't previously exist. But then after the Flashpoint, he was sort of brought into continuity, and he was basically aware of that idea, and he was actually really upset at Barry. He's like, the only reason I exist in this universe is because you screwed up the timeline. And I was like, that's a horrible thing to realize about yourself, but, you know, it could have actually proved for a really interesting arc. And I was hoping they might mention something like that here when he's really digging into his own insecurities, but they didn't really. And I've always hoped they could do something with that. But aside from that, a solid story. And it made me laugh when his, like, weird, trippy version of Jay Garrick is like, who are you again? Doesn't matter, you're all copies of me. It
Right?
just made me laugh. Yeah.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Oh, I almost forgot about that.
Yeah.
That part was great. That part was funny. All the rest of
Yeah.
them were just being
Yeah,
mean.
that one
but
made
that,
me laugh.
that one
he's
gave me a
right.
chuckle, man.
Everyone else is a copy of you, Jay. You're the original.
Yeah, they're all copies of you, even if you were created
Yes.
from heavy water. All right, so the next story in DC Powers, a celebration, is Vixen and Batwing. That's the title, and it is featuring, you guessed it, Vixen and Batwing. Another real quick one, but I got to ask a question first because I feel like this is going to be a super dumb question, but I've been racking my brain. I didn't get on Google, but I've been racking my brain trying to figure out who the hell King Arno is. Help me out here, Brandon. Is this a new character? Or is this somebody that's
No, I think that's a
pre-existing?
new character, or at least one I'm not familiar with.
Okay, good. Well, so Vixen and Batwing are on King Arno's ship doing security detail when it gets attacked by Black Manta. They drive him off and then fly up and make out in the sky. Straight up copy of Superman and Lois, but I just don't mind. And I liked the art. I like that Black Manta mentions that he's trying to change. I believe the phrase he uses is I'm trying to rebrand. Though we don't know why a good Black Manta would want to be out here killing whoever this King Arno is, but it does look like we will be finding out soon enough. I thought this one was really good. the art in a Batwing and in a Vixen story are usually really good, and this is no different. However, and maybe I'm missing this, I have not read any of the Vixen NYC. I've not even so much as clicked the mouse button to be able to check that out. And I feel like after reading this, because I dug Vixen from the animated from as a character, and that was pretty cool. But I didn't see Vixen and Batwing being a
No,
DC
nor
couple,
should
but
they be.
now I can't unsee it. That's all right.
No,
You
because
don't think so? You're
if
not
you're,
a fan
if you're gonna
of
have
not a
any
fan of
pairing with
Vixen and
Vixen,
Batwing?
it's got to be Bronze Tiger. They were like the classic pairing in Suicide Squad, but now I guess she's over poor Bronze Tiger, and really, it's a tragedy.
You see, and here I was
Wait.
thinking you were gonna say
No,
Vixen
no.
and Gar.
Hold the phone. What about the classic pairing
Holding.
of Vixen and Jon Stewart from Justice League Unlimited?
Yeah, I guess the animated version, but if we're talking the comics, then yeah, it's Bronze Tiger and Vixen, or at least they have history. They have romantic history.
I mean, history, sure. I just don't see them as a good pair. You know, a hero and a villain.
Oh my God, what a
A
concept!
power couple. Oh, where
Oh,
have we
yeah, I
seen
know.
that
A
before?
hero and a villain, it can't be.
You ever picked up
No
a
way.
fucking Batman book?
A hero would never fall for a villain, and God forbid that hero ever have a
It's impossible.
child with a villain.
Oh God.
There are literally like three people you
yeah.
could name that have
Speaking
done
of-
that. That's not even specific to anyone.
Nope. But
It is such a
speaking of-
taboo for a hero to perform any kind of oral
Oh
stimulation
my God!
on
Yes,
a
no,
villain
that's
as well.
that we don't like that.
meow. Or at least the censors don't seem to. But talking about some kitty treats, we are gonna move on to Batman, and that one was it's entitled The Calvary, and of course it is written by John Ridley with art from Olivier Coipel. I can never remember how to
Coipel.
say his last name,
Is it
but
Coipel?
I have read it.
He's French.
Um,
Yeah,
it's is it?
yeah.
Is it Coipel? Okay. Well, see, I thought it was French, and that makes me think that the L should be like a Y.
Yeah.
Like Les Miserables. It should either be like silent or. But in any case, this is just a reprint from Batman Batman Black and White #3. It's only from last year. It's a really good story. It's a great art. It's such a great job because it's just line work. But it's all like it was just back then. And if I'm being honest, I don't see why this wasn't a quick original story rather than a reprint. I just feel like that offering was really weak just to get Batman into this book, and a disservice to Batman. Jace should have had something in here, and it could have just been some side stuff dealing with his family. It's not like intimate has been pushed away in this whatsoever. So, I mean, that could have been something, and I feel let down that it wasn't.
Yeah, I mean, I think we already talked about this story, so I don't know that I have anything new to add.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean,
and that's
solid,
my problem.
I
with
guess,
it.
which I think goes for the next story as well, because it's also literally just a reprint, which I was very disappointed by.
Yep. Basically, it's a reprint of the Far Sector preview. I guess trying to get people back into Far Sector, or maybe caught up on Joe Moline. But it was written by N.K. Jemisin and Jamal Campbell on art. Again, this is another book that I strongly suggest you go read. It is a brand new take on what a Green Lantern is and what it could be. I really dig it. The art is phenomenal. I love the whole series. So you guys need to go check it out. The reprint of this, and that again, no soapbox here, but I feel like this particular story is perfectly timed with the current events of today and the disgusting events around the death of Tyree Nichols. This was the inclusion here. I could see if it was thrown in at the last minute. It wasn't, but it still fits really good. And that is the book, man. Like Brandon said, it is a reprint, so I imagine Brandon, as usual, doesn't have a whole lot to offer about it. But what did you got anything positive? Tell me that you enjoy the Far Sector.
Oh no, I love it. That's why I was so disappointed. I thought it was just going to be a wholly new Far Sector story, and I was like, great, we have another, another chapter written by the original creative team. Because I feel like if anyone has Joe's voice down, it's N.K. Jemisin, but it's just, yeah, it's just a reprint of the 5th issue, which is just like, okay. I mean, I guess if you haven't read this series, that's great, but like, I would so much rather have preferred just an entirely original story.
You and me both.
I can
perfectly
agree.
timed, but
We had
space.
an original Far Sector story in last year's DC Pride, which was a noir style as well. It was all in black and white until the end, which was fantastic, and it was set on. I don't remember the name of the planet that Joe was on, but it was set on that world too. Yeah, so it would have been a great inclusion here, but I don't know. At least they stuck to basically just her origin story, which was good. Don't go too deep into giving away the story.
Yeah, I think that's why they pushed this particular one out, was to say, hey, Joe is going to be a big part of going forward, so why don't you go check out the 12 issues that we did before? And again, I strongly recommend it. That shit was it's so cool. So cool. A whole new, brand new way of being a Green Lantern.
Yep.
Love it.
And for the record, when it comes to Green Lantern books that came out around the time of the pandemic, that is the best one, if not the only one.
And Rob has.
No, I know the slight that you were making. We're not going to get into that, but yeah.
I will just say I'm not the only Lantern
I
fan
know.
that
I
says
remember
this.
because I literally
sure.
people would get into arguments about this stuff. It's funny. I actually, my advisor of all people it turned out to be like a huge comic fan, and he mentioned that he was reading Far Sector, and I was like, oh, that's so cool. Yeah, I really love how they're putting out Far Sector right now because it's such a great juxtaposition with the Green Lantern, which is also doing its own thing that I love. He like flashed me this look, and he was just like, "Oh yeah, I'm not reading that." And I was like, "Oh, why not?" He's like, "Oh, I just don't like it," and it just crushed me inside. So, yeah, I know what you were referencing.
Oh man.
Rob
So I
is talking
wasn't thinking
smack.
about Morrison. I was thinking about Jeffrey
God.
Thorne's run, but I forgot that Morrison's run was around at the same time.
Okay.
It still counts though. I'm not
Hey,
the
now,
only
to be
Lantern
fair,
fan to
Rob,
have this opinion.
You just made the decision that you were going to go back and reread season 1 and 2.
Yeah,
I can't wait. I can't wait for you to do it.
So I'll say it like I'm going to go back and finish season 1 and 2, where there was a couple of issues in season 1 I didn't read, and season 2 I gave up 2 issues in. So I read the last one just to figure out what the hell happened by the end. But I'm going to read the whole thing and pass judgment. I did read Black Stars too, which I thought was interesting, but that's for another time. I'm not going to get into it right now. Yeah. All right. So with that, we are now.
I gave it an 8.75, by the way.
Oh, right. Scores.
I went through and I graded them all individually because I'm a dork, and then I averaged it all out, and I rounded it up because I'll be damned, man. Most of the art, most of the stories in here were fantastic, even with the 2 reprints. So I dug it. 8.75 out of 10 for me.
I
Right on.
did not score them really, but I guess if I had to give it a whole score, it'd probably be like an 8 out of 10 or so.
Right on.
Right on.
All right.
All right. So with that, we are now on to our next compilation book, anthology title. I keep forgetting the damn word. It is Lazarus Planet Legends Reborn #1. And our first story is Masks and Monsters about Renee Montoya. As the question, it's written by Alex Segura with art from Clayton Henry, colors from Marcelo Maiolo, and letters from Pat Brosseau.
Indeed
Simply
it is.
put, with the rains coming down on Gotham and all over the world, Renee Montoya has her hands full at the GCPD with her cops in constant danger. But there
Gotham
are two
is being
detectives.
flooded by green rain, but she don't give a
Oh,
shit.
No.
She
She's
don't
got
give
shit
two
to
shits
do.
about it.
Two of her detectives are on the case looking for a serial killer, but he's seemingly disappeared. And Mayor Nakano all of a sudden calls her to City Hall, which she never actually gets to.
No,
She doesn't
She's like,
make
fuck
it.
that guy. Let him simmer, I believe is the word she says.
Yeah, and I really
Excellent.
want to know. It's probably just going to be something simple like, "What are you going to do about this rain, huh?"
Yeah,
And
right.
I still want to see it happen because I want to know what the hell he has to say. We haven't
Right.
seen Mir Nakano in a minute. It's been a bit.
Or his
Uh,
wife,
Yeah,
who, by all means, the last time we saw them in a book, if I'm not mistaken, the last time we saw them in a book was when Mrs. Nakano, I can't remember what her first name is, of course, but when Mrs. Nakano ended up with Psycho Pirate's mask.
yeah. Which was a really interesting way to
Mm-hmm.
end that story. So I don't know.
Right? And now we're all just sitting twiddling our thumbs because it's been like it's been well over a year,
Yeah.
right?
Oh yeah, I mean we've seen him sporadically, but not his wife for sure. I think it's been since the tower.
So weird.
Yeah. I don't know, hopefully more from them soon. Because when it comes to side characters in the Bat world that are not superheroes, they're pretty interesting. I must admit, I liked Mary Nakano. Yeah, but Renee has her hands full. She decides to, while on the way to City Hall, answer a call out to a crime scene where she meets the same detectives, and another body has been found. This one torn to pieces by what seems to be some kind of animal, if not as described as a monster or a demon. So Renee gets home, puts on her question costume, and heads out into the world to find out what she can find. Heading to Elroy, who is our serial killer, his apartment, finds some keys to a storage locker, heads to the storage locker, preparing for the worst, but finds some kids, teenagers, tied up. But before she can get them completely loose, Elroy, now changed by the Lazarus rains into a giant beast of a man, shows up, almost beats her unconscious, but she is saved by one of the teenagers who electrocutes Elroy. And then she gets the detectives on the line, anonymously, of course, because she cannot give
Of
away
course.
her identity as the question. And they come and arrest Elroy, where everything is fine.
That's
Yeah,
hilarious.
So
She
to
goes to
speak,
that
I just-
storage
As,
locker.
as I said that, it's like the city's on fire and everything. And she's like, this is fine.
Yeah, everything's good now. City's on
Yeah.
fire. We got green fucking rain, but I mean,
People are turning into
one
monsters.
case
but
closed.
no. Good day,
Exactly.
gentlemen.
Yeah, and
It's-
I
yeah.
couldn't help
Good job,
but
well
love
done,
the fact.
detectives.
Right. I couldn't help but love the fact that what she went to the storage locker to get was a cattle prod taser.
Yeah.
That's how the kid electrocutes a monster serial killer later. But yeah,
Yeah,
I mean,
I
of
mean,
all the weapons to take with you, you get a cattle prod. I mean, what?
You use what you get.
I mean, I
You
guess.
yeah, you take it as they come. Oh man, that was a fun one. I liked it.
Yeah, for sure, man.
Yeah.
It was okay
I'm-
considering all the weird shit that was going in about it. It was fun.
Yeah. I'm just down for more Renee Montoya
Definitely,
as the
yeah.
question. I really am.
I want
And
I
as-
want Renee Montoya to have uh maybe 6 issues is a little too long, but 3 or 4 issues where she goes up against the Answer.
Ugh,
That's a real character, by the way.
Yeah.
that's a little too much.
I think I
Yeah.
prefer the Riddler.
It's right there. It's perfect comic book
Yeah,
shit.
It
Come on.
is, but
Yeah.
how
How about a 4 or 6 issue series
Oh,
where
man.
Renee goes to Hub City, which is Vic Sage's old stomping grounds, and sort of has to try and navigate the new crime scene there? That I would definitely check out.
Yeah, I'm down for that. Hub City, haven't seen
Yeah.
that in a long time.
I think she's kind of stuck in Gotham.
She can get in a transfer,
Yeah, realistically, yeah.
something like that. Hub City's such a terrible place. I'm
Just
sure
put
she
in
can
a transfer
pull it
to
off.
Hub City.
Fuck you, Gotham. I'm
Exactly.
going to Hub City. I've had enough of you
Right.
and your green rain.
Yeah. It's just like Gotham,
Yeah.
but without all the clowns.
Yeah. Just slightly
Yeah.
less smoggy.
Yet somehow more
Slightly,
corrupt.
Yeah, a little bit less pollution. Somehow,
Yeah.
it's because they can see
Maybe.
more.
Or because their mayor's a filthy drunk. This is just going to be a review of the question series from the 80s.
Supposition. It's okay.
So, as I was reading it, I was thinking to Renee's origin as the question. And Renee has been a long time character now, starting in BTOS as just a regular beat cop and then eventually detective, and then made her way to the comics as a Gotham detective. I think her comic debut was a Gotham Central, if I'm not
No,
mistaken.
it was actually way earlier in the
Could have been. Oh,
in the like mid.
Oh, was it? Yeah?
No, earlier than that. It was like
Was it-
yeah,
was
it was
it
like
Romance?
mid 90s, I think, and I'm pretty sure it was Chuck
Yeah.
Dixon or Doug Mensch who sort of brought her into the comics, obviously, inspired by the BTOS version. But I want to say it's like maybe 94 or 95 or something like that. She was like a background character.
I mean, that's
Yeah.
not long after
Mhm.
her BTOS
Yeah.
introduction. Yeah, right on. Okay, but I read her and Vic's story in 52
course.
as we all did, and it was very heartfelt. It was a very interesting story, and I really liked it. I'm assuming as we all did.
Oh yeah.
But the more I'm thinking about it, and every so often I think about this, like Renee was just a detective. Vic Sage was paranoid to the max. unless that's more recent Vic Sage versions, but to be the question, you're questioning everything. Like you're near full on conspiracy theorist about everything, which Renee Montoya assuredly is not. So I always found it weird that she took on the question, that the writers had her become the next question. Storyline wise, yeah, she took on Vic's mantle because they were so close, but I just feel like she's not paranoid enough.
Vic,
to be
I
a
think
question.
Vic definitely started off as being a lot more, paranoid and sort of the more like weird, creepy Steve Ditko version. But I think one of the things that people really grew to love about Vic, or at least one of the later versions of Vic, is that he basically turned into a hippie in the 1980s. Because they what they
Right.
did was, it was really smart when Denny O'Neil relaunched that title. They basically killed off Vic Sage in the first issue, and then just sort of rebooted him, where he's now trained under Richard Dragon, and just chilled way the fuck out. Probably started smoking weed, and basically just learned how to be a more relaxed
I think.
person. And I think that's the one that kind of was more helpful and inspirational to Renee. Less so the paranoid one who like first showed up and was just like a weird creep.
Yeah, and he got a little. Did you read the many?
Yeah,
Many
but
Deaths
that was
Vic
out of
Sage?
continuity. Yeah.
Oh, was it? Oh, okay, all right. 'Cause I've spent the whole time. I
No, that was a
enjoyed
really
the
good
hell
one,
out of it.
and obviously inspired
I
by
really,
that book.
really liked it. I just I did not realize that it
Oh,
was
yeah.
completely out of continuity because it touched on so many things that
Yeah.
actually
No, well, that, I
happened.
mean, you know right from the start, it couldn't be, because that version of Mayor Wesley Furman is not a filthy drunk. And if you know anything about the original
That's
one, he's just
right.
like just
Yeah.
drunk all the time talking about Teddy Roosevelt. It's a wild time. That's one of my favorite series. I got to do a deep dive on that at some point. So that's why I keep mentioning it.
Carry a
Yeah.
big stick, Vic. Carry a big stick.
Yeah,
That's a
yeah.
Teddy Roosevelt quote. But walk softly, but carry a big stick. I think that's it for the question.
Yeah. No more questions
It's
to
true.
be answered right now. So our next story is entitled Trilogy. It is written by Alex Packnadel. Is that a K? Yeah, Packnadel. With art from Christopher Mitten, colors from Romulo Fajardo Jr., and letters from Troy Pateri. This is about Raven and Beast Boy on their way to save a trio of boys who have been turned into demons thanks to the Lazarus Rain. And not just any kind of demons, Trigon-esque demons, complete with the multiple eyes, something that Raven knows quite a lot about. They're going through a part of the city that's really messed up, like the hellscape, everything's twisted. You think this is acid, but no, it's hellfire. And people are melting into the ground. It's really fucking weird. And it's the first page. Like, you don't know what's going on yet. You're wondering what the hell's happened. Did I miss something? That's what I was feeling at the time. But they make their way to a church of all places where the boys have holed up, because as it turns out, the boys are country living Christians and believe that the priest there can help them and perform exorcisms on them to save them. But the priest has no clue what he's doing. He's never performed an exorcism and has no way to help them. But Raven arrives as Beast Boy stands guard outside, trying to protect them all from the numerous police that are fire ready, guns drawn, ready to shoot whoever comes out. So he turns into a tiger and fends them off at the time being. Raven goes in, talks them down. One of the boys is just not having it, especially after she reveals her own multiple eyes, and he realizes that she is a demon, not like them at all, because they're not really demons, they're just children. But the other two, which I believe they're all brothers, begin to trust her and figure maybe she can just save them and help them turn back into regular people. While the third boy starts raging around the church because he's just done and doesn't trust Raven, wants help, wants out of it, and thinks only God can help him. Well, some otherworldly being does appear, because as Raven and the two boys step outside, Beast Boy has apparently mauled all the police officers to bits, and as Raven asks what the hell's going on, he slowly turns into Trigon, as it was Trigon all along. Beast Boy was never there, and Trigon then teleports Raven away into some dark pits, potentially not maybe not limbo, but might be limbo of some
A
kind.
different kind of limbo. Not the limbo where forgotten characters
Different kind
are.
of limbo, yeah. No, I mean
Yeah.
it could just be empty. Do we
One
ever
foot
really
in
forget
Yeah,
front,
characters?
3
I
foot
mean, according to
punch,
Final
daylight
Crisis,
come
apparently we
and
do.
everyone go home.
I really need
Yeah.
to read that again. All right, and it ends with Trigon seemingly murdering the two boys because they are not demon enough, and then finds the third one, realizing he is potentially just demon enough to be an heir, and takes him away to parts unknown. So that was
He
that.
said, "I'm your daddy."
Yeah. It
Oh,
was
that's. I
really-
mean, it. Yeah, I mean,
really
if I'm not
weird.
mistaken, it kind of flat out says that Trigon, or excuse me, that this kid
Yeah, he says, I'm
is
your
Trigon's
father.
son. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, technically, if he was the one that turned them into demons, even though it might have been the Lazarus Rain, that's where it's a little muggy for me. But hopefully, we actually get a resolution to this, because that's very open ended. Raven's just floating in a dark void, and Trigon has a new son, and it's really messed up. It was a bit of a trip, that story. I liked it though because I don't think we get enough Raven anymore. Just doing her own thing. Whenever you see Raven, she's just
I agree with you.
the magic user
Yeah.
on a team during a crisis. Like, okay, yeah, I'll do it again. Thanks, guys. Thanks for calling on me when you need me. Never
Yeah.
the other way around. It's
Otherwise, she's
yeah.
just sitting in the background like wallpaper.
yeah.
And she's a
So I love it
kick-ass
when we get to see
character. It
Raven.
shouldn't be that case. That should not be. That should not be what they do with her.
Yeah. There should be a lot
I
more
agree,
Raven right now.
and-
It's a damn shame, and I think this definitely
Yeah, and
proves
I
it,
would love to see more
if not will
Raven
make it
from
happen.
this team as well. Because really, really like this story.
Yeah.
I mean, well, okay, maybe there is a little bit of doubt, but I want to say there's no doubt that we're gonna find out what happens from here, because I mean that's just way too big to just leave.
I mean, we've
hanging.
been let down before. I often bring up
Very true.
with people when I'm talking about comics, the Death of Hawkman
Oh my God.
miniseries.
Oh,
And
God.
I think I actually brought this up, and I feel like Brandon, you might have told me it was resolved, but I never saw a resolution.
No, it
to
really
that
kind of
story.
wasn't though, because yeah, Hawkman dies, and then they just sort
Yeah.
of brought him back during Dark Knight's Metal without any explanation. So yeah, I don't know.
But even beyond that, like there was a Thanagarian Green Lantern. Adam Strange was left in some mystical
Yeah.
void in space, and Despero was back up to full power,
And
then
they,
it just
like,
ended.
I think
and never brought up
with the
again.
Adam Strange stuff, they had an Adam Strange Johnny Quest crossover when they were doing the Hanna-Barbera crossovers, and I think that, if I remember correctly, that explained
yeah.
how he got back to the regular DCU. But yeah, a lot of that stuff was just not explained.
What? But those are so out
I
of
know,
continuity.
I know.
thought.
It's wild.
Oh man!
But yeah, no.
Wait, who was it he crossed
Johnny
over with?
Quest.
Johnny
You ever watch
Quest.
Johnny Quest?
Johnny Quest.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I know, it was
what
weird.
the
It was
hell?
fun, No, it was actually a fun
Oh my
crossover, but
God.
yeah, just a weird choice.
Yeah, I think I
Um,
missed that one.
Yeah.
Very.
I think I only read the
Of
Batman Elmer
course.
Fudd
Yeah.
crossover,
I read
which was
that.
fantastic.
I was reading most of them. I think the one that I probably enjoyed the most, to the surprise of no one, I'm sure, was the Nightwing Megillah Gorilla crossover.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was
Fair
fun.
enough. They were all
Yeah.
fun runs, but
Yeah. How did we get to that?
We're talking about Death of Hawkman.
we train talked our
Yeah.
oh man, oh yeah. I think that's a prime example of stories that are fairly interesting that just
Yeah.
don't get resolved ever, which
Yeah.
is really annoying. And I really hope that's not
And
the case.
speaking of
with
stories that never get resolved, and also this artist, Christopher Mitten, I'm still waiting on the whole Mr. E subplot from the Justice League Dark Annual from like 2 years ago. Still has not been
Good luck.
resolved.
it ain't coming.
I'm still waiting on a resolution from a Justice League story from Brian Hitch from like 5 years ago.
I'm still waiting for
That's
Good
never
what
luck.
was
happened.
it?
Not gonna happen.
The Jeff Johns Aquaman story, like War of Atlantis or something. Oh no, Rise of the Seven
Oh,
Seas.
God, yeah, with
Rise of the Seven Seas.
the Seven Kingdoms.
still waiting
right?
for
Yeah,
that.
that's never
Yeah.
coming.
Nope, not gonna happen.
It's gonna come out in 2026.
Yeah.
Like,
It
oops,
took a
sorry,
little
it was
while, but
delayed
here it is.
for 10 fucking years. Yeah.
Yeah.
Blame the artist. No,
Oh.
we're blaming you, Mr.
Yeah.
Johns.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Blame the artist, my ass.
I retooled it into a JSA story, then I retooled
Oh
it
yeah,
back into
yeah.
an
No,
Aquaman
that totally makes sense.
Speaking of stuff
Yeah.
that makes sense versus stuff that doesn't, I'm talking about that next story. Oh my god.
Oh, yeah.
I'm getting ahead of myself. but-
Okay.
Oh Jesus.
All right. Okay. I'm curious to see what you have to say about this. And this next story is titled City Boy, which is also the titular character. This is written by Greg Pak with art from Minkyu Young, colors from Sunny Go, and letters from Wes Abbott. And this is about a young man who has made his way to Gotham for some seemingly unknown thing, yet he can read the city very much like Jack Hawksmoor, but he can do it without being in bare feet.
Yeah.
So he goes into a park and gets a vibe for the city and gets a feel for a piece of Bat memorabilia that's under a nearby park bench, and happens to be a Nightwing Batarang, which he thinks is a Batarang replica, and figures with the battery still being good, it might just pay for some lunch, so he's going to get some money. Seemingly, this kid is homeless. And just then, the Lazarus rains begin, and a lightning bolt strikes him, and then through him, it strikes some trash, which turns into a little cute-ish kind of garbage creature, which is really, really friggin' weird. And
the whole fucking
it talks a
thing is
little
weird.
bit. It climbs up a shoulder. It's like a little garbage rat. Literally, it's like half a water bottle for a head and some twigs and leaves. It's fucking wild. But then he notices that he can read the city a bit more now, to a better degree. He doesn't even need to touch it with his hand. And he gets a deeper reading. And as he notices deep underground in the city, there's something of interest. So he touches the ground, and the ground opens up, and he's able to go inside. But in behind him, from a nearby building, is Nightwing watching the entire thing. So this kid lands in the sewers, but as he lands into the sewers, he cracks a pipe on the way down, which sprays him with water, and then this little garbage rat takes the pipe and sprays him even more, beginning to drown him. But then Nightwing shows up to rescue him, and then the kid is like, no, fuck off, and then kicks Nightwing in the head as he goes after his treasure, which is a golden diamond encrusted tiara. So he grabs it, and it gets a little electric as he gets a vision of where the tiara came from. There was a rich young woman one day who lost it in a windstorm, and then for some reason she was interrogated by police and then jailed, and now she's just an old woman sitting alone in an apartment. Nightwing then saves the boy from the drowning water, and together they realize that maybe this boy should do the right thing and return the tiara, as he does, and feels a bit better about himself, and then reveals he has the Batarang as Nightwing wants it back. But then he says, no, you're not a poor little old lady, and disappears into the city as Batman watches on, and together they realize there's more to come from City Boy. As it even says at the end of that page, there will be more City Boy adventures to continue this year. I liked it. I thought it was an interesting character, interesting origin. I think the idea of Jack Hawksmoor, and I'm not trying to compare the two, but the idea of Jack Hawksmoor's powers, fascinating idea, fascinating set, and I think bringing it into a younger character as well can really bring home a few more stories. So, the vibe I get from Jack Hawksmoor is very, very serious, and you can get a little bit more lighthearted fun out of City Boy, I think.
I don't see a point for it. I don't see any reason for it. He's literally just a young Jack Hawksmoor clone who gets hit by lightning, which, speaking of which, you would think DC people would know by now to wear electric resistant boots. I'm just fucking saying. Lightning hits a lot of people. But I just don't like it. First, being a Hawksmoor clone it kind of takes away from Jack Hawksmoor, and amping it up to where he's even more powerful than Hawksmoor is fucking weird to me. And then you add on top of it that they're going with the name City Boy is completely fucking retarded. I mean, that's worse than Boy Thunder. And I don't like it at all. This just sounds so bad. So bad. Like when he comes back later on, I hope it's maybe for one issue, and then they start investigating who killed him.
Wow.
That's what I'm hoping for, man.
Well then,
Yeah.
I liked it. Yeah, there's not much to go on yet, I would say, to really talk about. Um, Not even really a proper origin, just a Lazarus Rain
Yeah.
part of the origin. But he already had the powers going into it, so I'm
Mhm.
kind of curious where that started as well. So I feel there's a lot more to see with this character, and I hope there's a little bit more depth.
Mhm.
We'll find out eventually this year at some point.
I guess. City boy. Jesus. Horrible.
Do you have anything do you have any thoughts about it, Brandon?
I'm not entirely against it. I enjoyed this story. I do agree that his powers they're not exactly the same as Jack Hawksmoor. I mean, obviously, the communication with cities is similar, but his I think are really just more transportation based, and they also give him some information. Although I guess we don't really get a full understanding of how much information he gets, but I just got the impression that he can communicate with cities, but it's more travel. It's not like, all the extra information that maybe Jack Hawksmoor would get or gets. So I don't think it devalues Jack in any way, and I think maybe if they're aware of how similar their powers are, but also how different in some ways, they might be able to kind of do some interesting stuff with that. Because I think he was in the Wildstorm 30th anniversary special or whatever they did a couple months back and kind of had them interacting. And I felt like that could have been interesting, just having them sort of have that shared connection, and maybe they could tell some more stories that way. But I don't know. I'm not entirely opposed to it. I thought it was a decent story, nothing super special, but just kind of fun. And maybe they could make something out of the character and kind of have a fun duo with him and Jack Hawksmoor. But I will say, if Jack Hawksmoor is the god of cities, the self-proclaimed god of cities, then I think our dear city boy has to be the godling of cities, just to really, complete the comparison.
Oh boy.
And that's all I have to say.
Godling.
Well,
That would be a
Godling.
better name than
Yeah.
fucking City Boy.
yeah.
When he hits 18 and he starts going by the name
Uh,
Metro Man.
oh.
Oh no. Great
Oh,
googly
gosh.
movie.
Yeah. There's yeah.
Mhm.
We'll see where it goes. There's definitely some more to see from the character, at least. At least we have that, which is more than we could say
Yeah.
for some of the other stories, including our next one, which is about a long-time character that we have not seen properly in a while. But every time we do, his current status is a little bit more muddy. This is about Firestorm, the Nuclear Man, and this one is titled Reign of Terror, written by Dennis Culver with art from Jesus Marino, colors from Romulo Fajardo Jr. He has been busy this week, and letters from Dave Sharp. Now, Ronnie Raymond is infused with Professor Stein, where last time I saw them, I don't think they were the pairing. I thought Jason Rush was involved. We haven't seen Jason in ages. They're having a bit of a squabble because apparently Stein, and I think this was revealed recently in something, that Stein was actually the one to trick Ronnie into fusing with him in the Firestorm Matrix in the first place against his will.
He was.
And Ronnie's kind of pissed off about that, understandably so. As the Lazarus Rain begins and they're struck by lightning, which kind of messes with the Firestorm Matrix, defusing them, and they crash land conveniently in a crater. But as it turns out, Professor Stein is not as okay as Ronnie is. We don't quite know yet what it is, but he seems to be in not great condition. A few days later, Star Labs is investigating the crater as Ronnie Raymond looks on while chatting with a Star Labs doctor. Just then, a shadow
Dr.
demon...
Ramirez.
Sorry?
Dr. Ramirez.
Oh, Dr. Ramirez. Okay. I don't think I actually saw a name Oh no, it's right there. Yeah, Dr. Ramirez. When I was reading the issue, I completely glossed over his name.
I did the first time. I had to go back and I'm like, surely this guy's got a name.
Yeah, he must. Yeah. All right. So Dr. Ramirez and Ronnie Raymond talking as a shadow demon of all things from Crisis on Infinite Earths, among various other stories, attacks seemingly from out of nowhere, since shadow demon after all. Attacks the Star Labs employees, potentially killing a couple. As Ronnie says, "Look, we need to stop that thing." Hits it with a rock, getting its attention, and convinces Dr. Ramirez that he needs to fuse with Ronnie, despite the fact that it could potentially kill them both, because the Firestorm Matrix is a little bit haywire right now, but what have we got to lose? But it works, and Firestorm is riding again. Ronnie can now see the portal with which the Shadow Demon came through, and they put up a little bit of a fight, while Dr. Ramirez convinces Ronnie to use a containment tube and send it flying back into the portal, which he promptly closes using his powers. Now, together, they realize that maybe they need to work together a little bit more, but for now, they're going to defuse, as Ronnie then lays eyes on Dr. Ramirez, and he has aged rapidly, seemingly 30 to 40 years older. And then he realizes that there's more wrong with the Firestorm Matrix than he originally thought, as that is exactly what happened to Professor Stein as he became withered and old. Also 30 to 40 years older, he is not looking good whatsoever, as we
Not
see
looking
on the final
good.
page.
Dude looks like a mummy with a breathing
basically.
tube.
Oh yeah, he's skin and bones. He's nothing. So Ronnie and Ramirez refuse into Firestorm, hopefully just saving Dr. Ramirez for the time being. And as it says, only the beginning, so it remains to be seen if we will see them again.
I hope
Hopefully
so.
so, because we, just like Raven, criminally underrated, don't get any Firestorm
Definitely.
stories. It's a damn shame.
Yeah, because correct me if I'm wrong, but the last time that we saw Firestorm in any kind of prominent way was way back with that whole what the hell was the name of it? The Project Superman.
Yeah, it was like the Superman Project or the Superman Conspiracy or something like that.
and
Or,
let's-
no, I think it was the Superman Theory.
the
I'm pretty sure it's the Superman Theory.
but it definitely wasn't great, and I hope that this would be.
Wait, which story was that? Project Superman?
Or from Doomsday Clock, they had that
Oh,
plot
okay.
thread.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because I was thinking it was
or the-
Doomsday
yeah.
Clock. I forgot. Yeah, I forgot.
Yeah,
that's
no,
what it was
they
called.
had that underlying plot thread of the Superman Theory that basically revealed
Right.
that Martin Stein had, planned to create a
Started
hero.
it all,
and was
right.
used- Yeah, essentially.
Right.
Thanks, Stein. You fucked
I
everything
forgot
up.
about that entire plot.
Yeah, no, that's
Wow.
the last time I remember seeing Ronnie Raymond and you said Josh in any kind of prominence, and so they never really did anything with that. But I guess that's still in continuity. They kind of hinted at it in Dark Crisis, where he was like, "Oh, I can't help you guys because I got that whole thing going on," but they didn't make an explicit reference to any of that. But I guess here they're really saying like, "No, that happened. That was in continuity, and we're continuing with that plot thread."
Now, my thing is, if that is the case, that happened years ago at this point. They've been through 2 reboots
Mhm.
since then, and Roddy's still pissed off. Like, they're still regularly, every time they fuse, he's like, "God, I hate you." Like, at a
They
certain
had-
No,
point,
I'm
wouldn't
sure
he
it's
They
just-
had been
exactly like
fused
that.
for quite a
Okay,
while
fine.
at this point.
Yeah, no, I'm sure it
Yeah.
is exactly like that, where he's just like, "God, I hate you, but we got to do it. I need you."
Yeah.
Fucking prick.
Look, we all have to work with people we hate sometimes.
Yeah, ain't that the truth?
Uh,
Ain't that the truth?
oh, you're just a floating head, Stein. Well, you made my hair go on fire, so you.
Exactly.
So
So screw you.
Man.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, I don't know about you guys. I thought the
Floating head.
Firestorm stuff was pretty cool. Setting up a new person for Ronnie to merge with. I thought that was kind of cool. The Son of Trigon stuff is pretty interesting. Montoya's felt like just a side story, and well, I mean, you guys know what I feel like about City Boy, but I mean, I enjoyed the art across the whole the whole book completely. I thought it was all really good.
Yeah, no, I enjoyed it all.
Yeah, I haven't been. Yeah, I haven't been loving all of Lazarus Planet so far, but I will say that this week probably had some of my favorite stories thus far. The particular highlights being the Raven story, which, just like Rob said, gotta have more of Raven, such an underutilized character. And then, even though I'm not in love with the plot thread, I'm excited to see more of Firestorm, and I hope he gets his own series in Dawn of the DCU.
You and me both. I mean, I'm gonna step away from popular opinion on this podcast here, but I want Firestorm even more than I want Raven. Not a whole bunch more.
I disagree with that. Because at least we see Raven.
I would probably go with
right?
Raven just because, yeah, if they're giving Cyborg a book, I feel like Raven should also have a book. Just kind of let them be their own characters for a little bit. But that's me.
I'm
you know,
all
I'm
for
a
that.
Titans fanboy.
Having
That's
a
fair.
Raven book.
I can agree with that. I'm all for that. But at the end of the day, like Raven at least is in Titans. She has appearances in Nightwing. She's in
That's
various other
valid.
things.
Yeah,
she
that's
had
valid.
she had a big part in the most recent crises. Firestorm is like once every 5 years, if we're lucky.
Which is a
That's true.
bunch of
And then
crap.
it's a grab.
Yeah, when
bag.
is the last
Like,
time they had a
he's had
Firestorm book? Like 2012?
If that.
Maybe. He's had such little continuity that they're still referencing stories that happened 5 years ago.
Yep.
Yeah, that's true.
Like there's
That is a
no
valid point.
substance. And where the fuck is
Ooh.
Jason Rush?
Yeah.
He's somewhere.
they put so much effort into building that character, and then they just toss him away like yesterday's jam.
Yeah.
I know
yeah.
where he's not. He's not in Central City.
That's very true. But before we do that, scores?
Oh, shit. Yeah. 8 out of 10. I forgot.
8 out of 10. Yeah.
Mm.
I
thought it
will
was-
also
yeah,
give it a
7.5
respectable
for
8
me.
out of 10. 7.
7.5.
7.5, right on. Yeah, well, an 8 for me, I think, is a very respectable 8. Nothing stand out in this issue, but I don't think really a necessarily bad story among the bunch.
Hey, given that I have whoa, what the hell? My mic just decided to dance all on its own. Given that I've reviewed every Flash book for like the last year, you mind if I pick up this last part?
Go for it.
Go for it.
Right on.
You want to do all 4 stories?
Yeah, I got it.
All right,
I
right
got
on.
it done pretty solid here. So,
Right on.
first and foremost, the whole book is written by Jeremy Adams and lettered by Rob Lee, but the art does change. In part 1, we've got pencils by Fernando Percerin, inks by Matt Ryan, but only on the first page, and Jason Paz was on the rest of it. Colors came from Matt Herms, and the cover, which I think is pretty damn cool, came from Sergio Cuna. Part 1 is super easy, 1 sentence long. This is just Vel Anthro, leader of the Fraction, giving us a little bit of a backstory on his planet and how they tapped into the Speed Force and their motivation to gobble up everything in sight. And that is the entirety of the first part of this issue. I don't feel like there's just much more to say about it. The art was great, and I mean, I guess the origin story was kind of cool, but we didn't really need it. I just need to know it's a bad guy coming from outer space looking to steal speeders. That's all I need to know.
Well, I really like the concept of it.
Yeah.
Of someone just manipulating the Speed Force, not necessarily for heroics, but just basically as conquer. Because it's a cool idea. Like, yeah, if you found a way to basically freeze time to a crawl and destroy planets, like, of course you would use that as often as you could.
Right?
One of my favorite things that are coming out of this is the Fraction frequently has mentioned so far that among the many planets that it conquered, every so often, if not every planet, has a natural conduit on it, which is a Speed Force user in their vernacular. So if there's a speedster on pretty much every planet, like, are we going to see them? And now that we've had
Actually-
the intergalactic wrestling ring, like,
Maybe,
maybe
yeah.
Wally can start planet hopping and meet intergalactic speedsters. I think that'd be amazing.
I mean, maybe.
And they have
They're
Planet Flash, I think, which was mentioned in the
Oh,
2021
yeah.
annual, which could also be like a central hub for speedsters across the galaxy.
I
So
forgot about
there's
that.
a lot that you could do with that.
Yeah.
and the fraction are not perfect because they said 4, maybe 5 speedsters, and I think that might just be covering the bad guys.
Mhm.
Well, that when they said that was in their vicinity.
That's true. So
Yeah.
I guess not technically worldwide.
Yeah, like they're not counting Avery. Max was off in the distance, so it wasn't really close.
But yeah, getting into that, part 2 was from art. Part two's art came from Serge Acuna, the cover artist. Colors came from Rebecca Nalty, and this is it. Avery has her soul sucked out by some dude named Dark Boo, who, if he existed prior to this, I do not remember. But he takes her soul, puts it in a gem, and apparently, if he goes out near the sun, he'll be able to soak it all up and use it to destroy the world. Some fractions dudes show up, grab him because he's frozen now, like everybody else on the planet. Avery heard him when he said all he needs to do is get to space, so she's like, no. So she jumps on the board and she doesn't know what's going on. Meanwhile, some fraction dudes are planning on doing some exploring, and that leads directly into part 3. So I'm just going to jump over to it because it's like this is just one long part here with different art. This stuff is from Lissandro Esteran with colors from Patricio De Peche, I want to say. And it picks right up with the last one off. Like I mentioned, the fraction dudes exploring. They go into a mansion which is having some sort of rich people function and starts taking them all out. At the end, we find out that the person taking out the fraction people is none other than Godspeed. Somebody I don't think they saw coming. Haha.
I don't think any of us did. I know I didn't.
Yeah. Well, remind me again, because I kind of skipped out towards the end of the Williamson Flash run, but last I remember Godspeed was dead.
Yeah.
And then I
Yeah,
think he
so-
got brought back or something.
So I saw a thread about that. I actually forgot how that completely ended. So Reverse Flash did potentially snap his neck, but then later on, when you got to see his gravestone, there was some kind of lightning bolt speed mirage happening, and then his
Right.
tombstone faded away. So
So
something
weird.
was changed. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. Still, altogether, the part 2 and part 3 I enjoyed.
Yeah.
And I'm glad to see Godspeed back. Anytime that we get a speedster coming back and being a bad guy that isn't Thawne, I'm cool with. I don't necessarily hate Thawne, but man, talk about an overplayed character. And
Oh, Thawne, yeah.
yeah. And then part 4, wrapping up the book. Not a story that I saw coming, with art from George Cambades. Colors again
Cambade.
from Matt Herms. So we're in the future now, and Jay West is all grown up. Well, I mean, more grown up anyway, and he's wearing a pretty cool Surge costume. He's seeing all the fraction stuff, and he makes a call to who I think is Irie. It doesn't
Yes.
really look like
Yeah.
it doesn't look like Jesse Quick. So,
No.
she tells him that Impulse is sending some help, and that comes in the form of someone that he has apparently met before, or will, or something. But that someone, complete with her own skeets, is Gold Beetle, and that's pretty cool. Side note, these two have a crush on each other, they kiss, and then go off to save the world. What a love story. I didn't see a single panel in here where the art faltered. The first part, or not the first part, excuse me. The first part, it felt kind of unnecessary. Part 2 with the dark woo stuff, I feel like that kind of came out of anywhere, but I didn't hate it. The way it wrapped up in part 3 was really good. And then seeing the future with Jay West and Irie both looking very badass, and then piling on the Gold Beetle on top of that, dude, I thought that was fun. I thought it was cool as hell. And man, did it look good. I gave this whole book an 8 out of 10. I thought it was fucking great.
The only nitpick I have with the art is during the future part.
Mhm.
For the most part, I liked it, but there were numerous panels where the perspective is kind of weird, and the arms and legs, depending on what's in the foreground, just look insanely stretched out, like they're Mr. Fantastic or something.
Yeah,
elongated
and I was
man.
thinking specifically, you might be thinking of the same panel that I am, but there's one where Gold Beetle is like descending from basically her version of the bug, and her left
Yeah.
leg looks like it's stretching like Mr. Fantastic.
I
It's a-
first really noticed it. It's the same idea on the very last page with the last panel. Gold Beetle's
Yeah.
jumping down, and it's the same deal with her legs. It's just really stretched out. But then I went
Mhm.
back
Hold
and looked
on.
at it like with Irie, it's kind of weird. The one panel we get with her, and
Wait a
then
s-
Jay fighting characters at the beginning is kind of weird with his arms and legs. It's
Mhm.
just a little off at times, but for the
Man,
most
Yeah.
part, I still
Wait.
really enjoyed it.
Hold on.
Mhm.
You guys are
What?
complaining about the way that arms and legs are shaped. The same two guys who are
I'm thinking about the
incessantly trying to get me to appreciate Raleigh Rosmo are going to complain about this?
It's
Nah,
it's not the
son.
shape; it's the length.
Yeah,
It's the
but like
length
I
of
don't
these
know.
little
Plus,
limbs.
I would say his stuff is never elongated to the point where it looks like
Yeah,
they're noodles. Like they might be oddly proportioned, but
yeah,
they are the right size. It's not like they're stretching like they're Gumby or something.
Yeah,
yeah.
no, because he's never drawn a face that looks like a jelly bean before. But
Oh, man.
I mean, altogether, I gave the book an 8 out of 10. I don't know how you guys felt about it altogether, but I really dug this one. I thought it was pretty cool, man.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Yeah.
Cool to see Avery. Cool to see Godspeed. I'm interested in the Fraction origin and Gold Beetle. Like blowout character for me. Love her. I want more.
Yeah, I love Gold Beetle.
Yeah,
Yeah, no, I'm in agreement with that. I feel like Gold Beetle has the personality of Booster, but sort of the technical know-how of Ted, which is just a great combination.
That's a good
it's
way
a
to
lot
put
of
it.
fun. But yeah, no, I
Did
felt
they
like
go into her
her story was
descent?
a lot of fun. What's up?
Sorry, did they go into her ancestry? Like, is she a descendant of somebody?
I
We don't
think
know
yeah,
yet.
they say like at some point the Cord and
Carter?
the Cord and Carter family lines like connected at some point, and
Oh, no shit.
That's
Okay.
how she's related to them both.
I completely
Fair
missed that. That's cool as hell. That explains a lot.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That explains a
Maybe
whole hell of a
Booster
lot.
marries Victoria Cord or something, and then their children
Um,
somewhere down the line give birth to Gold Beetle.
fair enough. Either way, I'm just happy she exists.
Yeah,
Not right. Indeed.
Yeah, I thought it was a pretty good issue. Bit of a step off from the main story, which when you get these anthology titles in the middle of an event, it's kind of just what are we doing? But this wasn't. I
Mhm.
didn't feel that at all. Like I was kind of interested in all four stories in this, and while they didn't all 100% have to do with what was going on, it was still cool to see all these characters that we haven't seen in a while or we'll see in the future. So I'm all
Yeah,
for it. I gave the whole issue I think an 8.75, if not a 9, to be honest.
yeah. No, this was probably my favorite of the week. Just a lot of fun stories here. It's always fun seeing the extended members of the Flash family, both in the present and in the future, which is really cool because they're just kind of tying everything together, which is fun. So this one got an 8.5 out of 10 for me.
Right on. All right, so with that, I think with the amount of books we have, we might omit the top three and instead just rank all four. What do you guys think?
I mean,
Instead
I
of,
think that's pretty fair. Um,
yeah.
I think that's yeah. Well, then in that case, let me go ahead and do that myself. Um, I would put Legends of Gotham at in number four. Number five, Harley Quinn. But the books that we covered, Legends of Gotham, number four. I gave number three to Lazarus Planet. Like Brandon said, it is one of the most enjoyable issues of Lazarus Planet. And with honestly, with Lazarus Planet, I have not been anywhere near as disappointed as I thought I was gonna be, which is a good thing and rather shocking to me. Part two, or number two, I guess. I gave that to the Flash. It narrowly got into second place because I enjoyed it so much. But I gave the first place to DC Power because there were they were just really really good stories focusing on the characters that were a part of it. Granted, having Amazing Man show up was not exactly necessary, but it was welcome to see, and the rest were just really fucking good. Uh, and then I'm gonna throw in my favorite moment here. It's when John tells Kelly that sometimes a bully is only afraid of a bigger bully. It was reminiscent of my high school days, like I mentioned before, and that just made me smile. I mean, like ear to ear smile. That was the way that they handled that. It wasn't too deep. It was realistic, and it had Kelly in it, so that was definitely a plus for me there too. That was my favorite moment. I wish I would have chose Brandon's favorite moment, which I'm going to assume is Jay Garrick.
It would be, but I actually have another one. But should I rank them
Go for
first?
it.
Yeah, go
If
ahead,
you're
man.
ready.
Well, I would probably say at number four, I have. Um, I would probably put Lazarus Planet again. My favorite of them so far. But still, I'm still not like super pumped about the event overall. But at number three, I have the DC Power, which I felt like was just a mashup of really good stories, save for the last two, which were just reprints of stories that we've already seen. Kind of disappointing there. Um, at number two, I had Legends of Gotham, just a really fun romp, like I keep saying. I don't know why I keep using the word romp. I just can't think of any other word. But at number one, I had the 1 minute war special, which I thought was just a really solid mashup of stories that, like Josh said, just kind of flowed seamlessly and really all one big, large story, which I thought was cool, and excited to see what the rest of 1 minute war will bring.
Oh yeah.
My favorite moment might have been the J moment, which made me laugh, but honestly, there was something about this moment in the Firestorm story that also made me laugh. It was kind of cool, and it's when he first fuses with Ramirez, and it's just this giant splash page of him going, "Oh yeah, Firestorm still got it," which is so incredibly cheesy, but
Perfect.
also kind of endearing at the same time. That
Perfect
was like, yeah,
Ronnie.
this is it. Yeah, perfect Ronnie. It's like just ridiculous, but it's fitting for him.
Oh yeah, it is.
Yeah, it was really cool.
Well, how about
As
you,
for
our
me,
furious leader?
I think I will also put Lazarus Planet Legends Reborn number one at number four, and then I will pop in. Now I'm kind of confused on my two and three. Oh man, I think I'll put DC Power Celebration, then Legends of Gotham, and then Flash 1 minute War Special. I do want to just asterisk this that that's not an indication of the quality of each book being bad. They were all really good. I did kind of flip through DC Power Celebration while you guys were reviewing it, and seeing what I saw was very interesting, and I can't wait to actually dive deeper into it. But I think that'll be my ranking for now. Favorite moment, though, in Legends of Gotham, Conor McKing starting off saying, "Let's get serious here. I'm betting $10." Like, oh, fuck.
I forgot
Dude.
about that.
I'm just
shit.
And then
confused as to how
Mercy,
Conor
okay,
McKing.
$1 million.
Yeah, I'm confused as to how Conor McKing even got an invite. Was that just like a pity thing? But he had to fly all the way out to Zamora. I'm assuming that cost
Well,
money.
Right?
That's
he
why
had to
he's
take
broke.
out a
That's why he only
reverse
has
mortgage.
$10 left.
Yeah, exactly. Like you came all the way here, probably on your own dime, to bid $10. Come on, man.
Oh man. I thought that was fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
$10
So
and
that
6
was me.
packs of McDonald's ketchup.
Sold.
But you're not getting the mustard because it's honey mustard. That's rare. That's the expensive stuff.
Oh yeah, it is.
All right. So yeah, that was our favorite part. We always do everybody else's favorite part, but do we even have a biggest stinker really? We can all
with
just say
this week,
Harley
it's
if we
so
want
small. It really
Yeah.
isn't.
to. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if we had
Yeah.
to, if I had to put one out there, I know you guys didn't peek into it, but it would just be Harley,
Yeah.
only because none of it really mattered, and it was awful expensive for something like that. But I mean, really, I don't even hate that. So I think we should all just take a pass on the biggest stinker, or even better, just reiterate. Now, just stay with me now. We just reiterate how shitty Tim Drake was.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, no, I can see it.
It's
Even
so
though it's
bad. It's
over a week
biggest
old.
stinker 2 weeks in a row.
Yeah. Oh boy. Well, and I think that's it. We've been talking for a while, considering it was only
Yeah.
Indeed, we have.
four books, but
Yeah,
we had
but
a lot
there
to
was
talk
a
about
lot of
with the
stories.
movies.
Mhm.
Yeah, we had the movie news, and then it may have been 4 books, but it equates to, if you count each individual story, it was something like 12 or 13 stories. So
Yeah. Plus, the Legends of Gotham one shot was like 48 pages, so
yeah,
you know,
That's true.
a lot of stuff.
yeah, there was a
Lot of
lot to
stuff.
talk about still, and we didn't even cover a book. Fancy that.
I know.
If we did that, we'd be here another hour. Well, with that, if there's nothing else to mention, I think we'll call it, and that will be our show. Bang
That's
the
it.
gavel. So
Yep.
remember, you can help support us by going to buymeacoffee.com/NAR podcast. Check us out on Twitter @NotARobotComics and subscribe to our Substack for bonus reviews, articles, and more. And as always, there's only one way to say goodbye around here. Until next time.
Be good to each other.
And don't be a robot.
Watch it,